right, we're going to start right away. We have a really long agenda today. We're going to try and move through it as quickly as we can without, moving so fast that people don't get a chance to say what they have to say, but we're going to try and limit our remarks and no repeating ourselves and that kind of thing. So, good morning, and welcome to the January 10th, 2019 meeting of the Code Enforcement Board. Meeting will now come to order. May we have a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Covey.
Here.
Ms. Howe. Here. Mr. Harrington.
Here.
Ms. McLean.
Here.
Ms. Roby.
Here.
Ms. Himes. And Mr. Jones.
We have a quorum.
Okay. All right. We have a quorum. Motion to excuse Mrs. Himes and Mr. Jones. Is there a motion? All right. Motion, Ms. McLean. Second. Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. So everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Any additions or corrections?
No.
Chair will accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Harrington and Mrs. House. Motion carries. Made the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Anyone need to disclose any ex parte communication? Okay. All right. Are there any announcements?
Yes, ma'am. Case number 1. The action should be taken. It should not be imposed fine. We don't have a determination of the compliance date yet, so that should be continued for a progress report and the determination of the compliance date.
So there's no, do we need to make a motion to do that?
No, that was your action from the...
Oh, that was the action. Okay. No complaints. So,
Okay. Case number 5, CEB 12-18-162 at 1348 Woodbine Street is in compliance 1/9/2019.
okay.
Case number 11, CEB 12-18-168 at 1401 Mardrake Road is in compliance 12/28/2018. Case number 14, CEB 11-18-145 is in at 1031 Bel Air Drive is in compliance 12/31/2018. Case number 18, CEB 01-1915 is in compliance 1/9/19. Case number 22. CEB 01-1919 at 144 Cancun Lane is in compliance 1/9/2019. Case number 32. CEB 01-1906 at 1111 Edith Drive is in compliance 1/9/2019.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that helps somewhat. Okay. Would our code officers please come forward and be sworn in?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, thank you. Here's our procedure. We will be calling cases by number and for the most part in order as they are listed on the agenda. If there are any attorneys that need to be in court, we'll hear those cases first. If there are police officers who must get back to assignments, we'll hear those cases first too. When your case is called, please come forward and be sworn in. State your name and address for the record. If you're not the owner of the property, please state your relationship to the owner. Our proceedings are recorded, so please speak directly into the microphone. The board will hear from the code officers first, then you'll be given the opportunity to respond. Please direct all your responses to the board. Witnesses may also testify following the same procedures. If it looks like we're going to go past 11 o'clock, we'll take a break at 11, and then we'll see who's left, and we'll go in order that way. We'll let those people come first. All right. We'll start with our lien reviews. Lien review number 1. CEB 10-18-129, 618 Braddock Ave. Respondent present? Oh my God. Okay.
State your name and address, please.
Nasser Kadimi, 618 Braddock Ave.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll hear from Mr. Jackson first.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of
Morning.
the board. Anthony Jackson, attorney for the City of Daytona Beach. This is before you for lien review. The case was first, the respondent was first notified in May of 2018. He was ordered to come into compliance on November 8th. He ultimately came into compliance on November 15th. In the interim, he had several circumstances where he was given extended time to comply. And each time he had asked for additional time, that additional time was granted. And quite honestly, as I look at the minutes, I saw that the board was willing to at least consider if he had appeared and asked even possibly more time. Apparently that didn't occur. He didn't ask, and ultimately was sanctioned at $150 per day for failing to come into compliance. The fine ran to a total of $1,050, and so the total that amount due is $1,074, which includes the recording fee. The staff is recommending reduction to 50%, and whatever that number is, $525 or so. And I don't think we have anything further.
Would you like to add anything, Mike? Okay. Mr. Gadimi, what would you like to say?
Yes, ma'am. Just that on the timing,
Oh, wait, I think you need to be sworn in. I'm sorry. That's my fault. Oh, you swore in. Okay, sorry.
the timing was the reason it took so long. Actually, I tried to contact the inspector, and the phone number on the letter was the wrong number. So I tried many a times, and finally, luckily, I saw him one day in the city hall downstairs, and we got to talk, and he was kind enough to give me his phone number. And from then on, we continued, and we did everything that the inspector wanted, and we were fine. But that it seemed like we took too long, or we didn't pay attention, which is not true, because we did pay attention. The number was wrong. I couldn't get in touch with him, because every time I called, I left a message, I didn't get no response.
Mr. Fitzgerald, can you confirm that?
It was the Michael Fitzgerald, Code Enforcement, City of Daytona Beach. My credentials are on file. The CEB2 had the wrong phone number on the bottom and of the notice of hearing.
For your wrong phone number?
It was on produced by my CEB1 had the correct information, and there was some issue with the CEB2. I don't know what it was. Oh, okay.
Have you been in contact with him anyone?
After he got the right number, then constant contact.
So from the period that
Would you speak into a mic, Mr. Jackson? Thanks.
no real work too much. So from the period, you can stand right there. So from the period that he was before the code board, you had been in communication with him from that period forward?
Yes, constantly.
And he was noticed by mail.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, okay. And I assume that those, I assume that those
The notice by
notices,
mail came back. They were out of town. I had to post the property.
and I assume the phone number on that posted note was correct. Is that,
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, I was right.
all right. Any comments from the board?
I can live with the 50% reduction.
Any other comments?
I'll
My only concern is that this involved a ton of paperwork. And normally when we reduce something, it gets reduced down to $1,500 just to cover costs of everything that's occurred. I think there was ample time given, and I was looking at the pictures of the condition of the property when it first came to code, and it was deplorable in my opinion. But the board will, any other comments? The board will, the chair will accept a motion to reduce the lien amount to 50% of the amount, subject to being paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert to the original amount. Do we know what 50% would be? $537 to $537. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Harrington. Is there a second? Second, Mrs. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed? Nay. Motion carries. So we reduced it in half for you, sir. All right, let's move on to lien number 2. Lien review number 2 is CEB 10-17-135, 10-17-136. That's 2 parcels. Is that right? Is the respondent present? Okay.
Melshire St. Bill, 506 Fifth Ave.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And sir, what is your relation to Celtic Capital LLC?
I am the sole owner. of
You're the
LLC.
sole owner. Okay.
Yep.
And registered agent, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll hear from our attorney, city's attorney, and then I'll give you a chance to speak.
Sure.
Madam Chair, members of the board, as you can see, these are 2 properties for lien review 2. 2 cases, I meant to say, for this lien. The inspector was Jerome McCoy, and at least looking at the record, something that stands out very much is the fact that the respondent had not appeared throughout the proceedings. Ms. McCoy does acknowledge that this owner did do work, and he's asking that the liens be reduced to 50%. And I'll turn to Mr. McCoy for any additional factual information.
And on both cases, Tony?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Jerome McCoy, Code Inspector for the city. My credentials on file. There's really no new information. However, the owner submitted an affidavit stating that the property would no longer be a rental property, and one of the liens were for no rental license, and the lien that was on the roof, that permit has been final. So that was the reason both properties were put into compliance. But it's no other outstanding information that I need to get.
I
All
can
right.
barely hear you when you're,
It's hard to,
Mike is kind of
microphone's only about a foot short. You should probably use a handheld. All right. Okay. Mr. Saintville.
Yes. So I inherited this property. Well, it wasn't inheritance. I inherited the liens through the
Right.
previous owner. I bought it through an investment company, and they basically told me that the city of Daytona Beach will have leniency towards liens as long as I fix the issues. I don't know.
Who told you that?
The investment company. So, I'm not really sure how the process works, but this was a property.
Doesn't work like that.
Right. So I bought this property with bad tenants. I evicted the tenants,
Right.
Which took roughly about 3 months, and fixed the issues, and now I'm here. So just wanted to see how the process works and go from here and go about.
Move on.
Yes.
All right, now, there was something about, are these properties vacant now?
Yes.
This
it's
property is vacant? Okay. And you fixed everything. One thing I noticed was that a lot of the things that you were cited for was outside work
Right.
that could have been done whether the tenants were in there or not in there. Is that right?
I'm not really sure.
I mean, you didn't have to get inside the apartments to
Right.
do them. I mean, like the roof didn't have to.
I was just told it would be smarter to have the whole property vacant, because there were troubled tenants. I didn't want them doing any further damage to the property.
Right. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Comments from the board?
I do have a question. How much did you pay for this property?
$55,000.
I was looking, and there were two different deeds that were only like 4 days apart.
Yes, that's
Can you
correct.
explain that? One of them was for $35,000, and then the next one, a few days later, was $55,000.
Sure. So the investment property, the investment company that I bought the property for, this is what they specialize in. They typically buy properties and sell them to investors like myself, whether it's a couple days apart or same day closings. So they bought it for $35,000 and sold it for $55,000 to me.
But is it true? Did I look at this incorrectly? The address is the same on both of
Yeah,
those
so what they
deeds.
do is they'll reach out to a seller, put the property under contract, and they do what's called a double closing. So they will sell it immediately to the investor the same day or within a few days later. So then that investment company name, if you look at the deeds, it says Meridian Trust LLC, and then they sold it to me, Celtics Capital LLC.
But is the address the same on both of those?
It's the same.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really. And another question: you purchased the property. Were you aware that there were liens against it?
I was aware. They told me that this is the liens. I got a lien search, but they told me this is how the process works. You go in front of the board, and they basically tell you what to pay. So I was well aware.
So you were well aware that it
Yes.
had liens
Yes.
of that much money. I just have one last question.
Go ahead.
That's not appropriate. I mean, if this doesn't work out for you, do you have a course of action against the prior owner?
No, I do not.
You do not. Okay. Okay.
Any other comments?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry.
Go
One
ahead.
last question.
Go ahead.
If you're not going to use it as a rental property, what's going to happen with it?
I was planning on selling it. The neighbor has reached out to me several times saying they would like to acquire the property, but I told them, there's liens that need to be taken care of, and told them I'd take care of it.
I'm
So,
glad you're being responsible.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Okay.
the end of my questions. Thank you.
All right. The chair will entertain a motion to reduce the amount of the lien to, let's just divide this by 2, 15,1.
Well, there's two.
There's two.
So it's 30.
Do we have to do each one separately? No,
No.
because the total lien is 3298. I'm up here doing long division.
$15,149.
Right. $15,149, subject to being paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert to the original amount. Is there such a motion? So moved. Motion, Mrs. House. Is there a second? No second? motion dies for lack of second. Would somebody else like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to reduce it down to 20,000.
Well, that's increasing it.
No, from 30 to 20.
From 30 to 20.
I thought,
For both cases. The total amount was 30.
okay, so the 15,100
Was half.
of both cases.
Right.
So now it's being increased to 20,000.
Right, that's what this motion is. Is there a second to Ms. Roby's motion? Okay, that motion doesn't pass.
You want to ask why people are...
Yes, I'm going to ask why we're not passing any of these motions, or why we're not going to consider these, although we can go back.
I would consider lowering it past the 50%, to be honest. I think this gentleman is doing the right thing. He came in and he bought this property in hopes of making a profit. And obviously, this will cut into that. But I think his intentions and his behavior has been honorable and upfront, and I think he deserves a break for that.
This house is your mic on, because you're pretty close to it.
Yes, I have a weak voice, sorry. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I would tend to agree with that. The only thing I'd say is don't listen to the investment company as to what we're likely to do. But
I always push over.
No, that's not what I came here for. That's not my intention of, you know.
I tend to agree with Mrs. House.
Okay. Your opinion? You have an opinion?
I think you got a really good deal, a really good deal for a piece of property in this town, knowing that you were going to have to pay those liens. And even if you pay the entire amount, it's still a really good deal on that piece of property. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I put about 30,000 into the property, just the work, without the eviction.
Mm-hmm.
Is that from a real estate background that you think they got a good deal?
No, I just went online to see what it's valued at today, and went on 4 different websites, and it's valued at over $140,000. So if you bought it for $55 and you've got $85 into it, and even if you do pay whatever you pay in the fines, you're still ahead by a lot. It's just a really good investment for you.
Okay.
Without the loan reduction. Yes, you are hardworking.
It'd be good if we got some more investors that really
Could you
brought the
disclose
property up.
what you actually did? Because it's such a way you got the information that you bring to the board that wasn't brought here today. So just tell us exactly what you did so we understand.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I just looked at the property and with the information given about how much it was actually paid for it. And then I went on Realtor.com, Trulia, and those websites to see what they value that piece of property at right now, what it would go for. And interestingly enough, all of those websites that would put a value on it said about the same thing, about the same range. And I know that houses, just because we're investors as well, to get a house beachside for $110 is unheard of.
Yeah, but I don't.
Like with your full investment of $110,000, it's just unheard of.
I don't think that's in our purview to decide what the property's worth. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a code violation. Either he fixed it up and he did it in a fairly timely manner, or he didn't. And if he makes $10 million, it's not our responsibility to worry about that.
But it also makes a difference to me that he was aware that there were $30,000 worth of liens on it when he purchased it. So,
May
And
I
it
ask
did
a
take
question?
it did take a year to get it in compliance, so it's not like it was turned over quick.
May I ask a question? If I paid $150 for the property, would it still be like the same determination?
I don't know.
The price you paid for the property has...
It's relevant.
You can sell it for it. It's not relevant.
Okay, it's not relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We are only concerned on the code violations and the improvements that you've made.
Okay.
And the effort you made in a timely manner.
All right, so would somebody like to make another motion? And if it's certainly everybody can vote the way they want to. We don't have to have a unanimous vote. We do need 4
Need 4 votes.
to pass it. So I still would like to go back to reintroduce the motion of the 50% reduction, as it seems to be a compromise that we
Okay.
might all pass.
I'll make that motion.
All right. All right. Mr. Harrington made the motion. Ms. House made a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Like sign opposed.
We need a roll call vote.
A roll call vote, please.
Ms. Cundy?
Yes.
Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Harrington?
Yes.
Ms. Roby?
No.
And Ms. McLean?
No.
3 to 2.
Doesn't pass.
Okay. Let's see. All right, we need another motion. I'm sorry, this is,
No,
we obviously are
understand.
conflicted, and
Sure.
I'm sorry, we'll get there.
I think that the information that was brought forth about the price and that has influenced our decision, which it should have no bearing
I
on
agree
our
with that,
decision.
with you.
And I feel that in lieu of that, we'll let the 2 descending, she had requested 20,000. What's your suggestion?
I would agree with 20,000. I was willing to do 20.
I just think that the time when the fees started, and I know you had to know that it was 30,000 was the lien.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and I know it's not your fault because you didn't own it back then,
Sure.
but that's the chance you take when you buy something that has a lien on it is we could say no to it all, you know. I know you are, I am amazed that you're so young and that you do something like this, but I don't think the investment company should have told you that we were pushovers in this town or any other town.
Well, we still need a motion. Mine's been
We
rejected.
do. I mean, everybody's made motions, so
How about compromise between the 15 and 20 and make it 17?
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion from Mrs. House and a second from Mr. Harrington to reduce the lien to $17,000. Is there
That's the motion.
okay, that's the motion. We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Cundy? You want to go last?
Yes?
You want to go last, or yes, you're voting?
Oh, I'm voting yes.
Okay. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Harrington?
Yes.
Ms. Roby?
No.
Ms. McLean?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Payable within 30 days, 17,000 for both properties.
Right. Subject to being paid within 30 days or fine will revert to original amount. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Move on to lien review number 3. CEB 11-17-158-126 South Oleander. Respondent present? Good morning.
Good morning.
State your name and address, please.
Mike Lockery, 3598 Stonegate Place. Loughry.
And you also going to testify? And your
Yes.
name is?
Mike Drexel.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, we'll hear from Mr. Jackson first, and then we'll give you an opportunity to speak.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for a lien review. The inspector's Mark Jones in this case. The lien, this Respondent was first notified in August of 2017. The property did not come into compliance until December of 2018. The fine that was imposed was $250 per day to a maximum of $20,000. It accrued to its maximum at $250, and then there's a $24 a $24 recording fee. So the total amount due is $20,274. The inspector reports that it took a very long time for this property to come into compliance. The original violator sold it to a second company, an investor, and the investor really took time for this compliance. The compliance included issues of failing, doing work without permits, covering up rotted wood with painting, and things of the such. Ultimately, it's being held out for sale, and the inspector is requesting that there be no reduction. I will tender Mr. Jones for one to clarify anything that I may have missed, and to any other questions you may have.
Do you have a recommendation?
Yes, no reduction is the recommendation
No reduction.
from Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Mark Jones, Neighborhood Services. My credentials are on file. This property originally was before the board and was found in non-compliance in November of 2017 and was supposed to be in compliance by January 3rd. The new owners bought it, and at the meeting on the 11th of 2018, we added the Stonegate, Stonegate to the violation. That then went on.
When was that?
That was at the January 11th meeting. We added them to the violation.
Right.
Majority of the issues came into. They were given till February 1st for compliance, and then
Right.
April for compliance.
Right.
And so we then ended up. They ended up with the fine being issued. They finally went and got a permit on July 25th, 2018 for the siding that was installed without permits. They failed the first inspection because they didn't have anything. They made no changes. They did come into compliance on December 19th. They passed the final inspection.
Okay.
It just was a very long period.
Okay. All right. Mr. Lockery, did you want to speak, or Mr. Bretzel?
Mike Bretzel.
Okay. What is your relationship?
I'm the real estate agent that sold on the property, and my wife owns the property management company. We've dealt with the contractors and the workers to get everything into compliance.
Okay.
June, do you need to give this to them? This shows that the day he bought the property, he started spending money. He spent over $70,000 on the property, and not a day went by he didn't have workers there. Originally, when he got a notice that there needed to be repairs done to the siding, the same guys that were painting the property replaced the siding with the exact same siding that was already on the building. He was then informed that he needed a contractor and that the siding that was put on the building was not acceptable. It takes a while to get a contractor in today's market, especially somebody that wants to get involved with code violations. So we did finally get a contractor, and he repaired it correctly. If you look at that, you can see he bought this property and started work. On the first page, it starts in January. The day after he bought it, they were at Home Depot getting paint to paint it. He has spent money every single week, if you look at this, on payroll, on labor, and material. This, what you see, doesn't include what he had to pay the contractor as well. I understand there's some cost involved with these liens, and my recommendation is that we lower it to what the court cost is, which is somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500. This is an out-of-state investor that's bought 3 properties in town, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in Daytona Beach. This is what we're looking for, is people to come here and spend money, making the place better. So when he bought it, the very next day we came in and stood in front of you and let you know that he had just purchased the property the day before with the guy who had all the problems. And I know that there was a long, drawn-out process with the other guy, but he shouldn't have to suffer for that. There were no liens at the time when he bought the property, and he started fixing it right away.
Okay.
Did you have a general contractor?
Yes. General contractor did the work. When we were originally informed that the siding needed to be repaired, the same guys that were painting and doing the work on the interior as far as flooring and paint and replacing the appliances, replaced it with the same sort of siding that was there. Then we found out that that wasn't acceptable, and then he got a contractor to put on what the right siding was that you wanted.
And who was responsible for pulling the permits?
John Banks pulled the permits. John Banks, contractor out of Ormond Beach. He's been a contractor in town for 30 years.
And he didn't know that the siding was improper?
No. Originally, when they were told that the siding needed to be repaired, the painters repaired it with the same siding that was already there. Went to Home Depot, bought the same exact stuff.
Why would the painters do the siding?
Nobody said that there needed to be a contractor to put up some siding. They were just repairs. It was just a small area. So when they did that small repair, that's when we were informed you need to have a contractor do that, and we went and got one. It wasn't easy to get one, and it probably took a month or two to finally get someone to come and pull a permit, but he had been talking to John Banks, and I had been talking to John. The day he said he needed a contractor, we called and got a contractor to pull a permit. Like I said, he spent $70,000 on this building doing repairs. This is the kind of stuff we want to have happen in town.
Yeah, are you telling your investors when you sell them a piece of property,
he knew 100%.
It could take 100 years to get the proper contractors and go on and on? Or
well, I didn't tell him that it takes 100 years, but I did. He's bought 2 other buildings in town and taken care of both of them right away. So this is what he's doing. He's coming into Daytona Beach from California. He's buying property and he's spending money. This is
I understand a lot lot of people are doing that.
Well, it's what we're looking for. At the end of the day, we want investors to come here and help get rid of the bad tenants, bring in new tenants.
All right, that's...
What concerns me is the communication between people who sell investors property and they give them, I don't know what the law requires, but and it's an honorable thing to tell somebody we have a real problem here with contractors and getting things done with permits. Otherwise, you wind up in front of the code board, and we're the bad guys because other people don't comply with the law.
Right. Well, the paint work that was done on the side of the building and the repairs, I've been dealing with property in town for 30 years. It didn't appear to be something that had to have a permit. It was a very small repair, which turned into a whole wall having to be replaced with new material. And as soon as that happened, we got a contractor.
I have a question of Mr. Jones. Can you tell me why you feel there should be no reduction?
Well, the owner was notified back in April that to do the siding work, he needed to have a permit. And they proceeded. The work was done. They didn't apply for the permit till in July. They then called for an inspection, and the work had not even changed. What had happened, his handyman had used some like material, but had not installed it correctly per the building code.
Did Mr. Jones? Let me ask you a question. Were you in constant contact? Were they responsive?
Yes, I was in constant contact with Mike. We met on site. Also met another representative.
Andy, who works for the property management company.
Yeah, on site. So yes, I had numerous visits and communication with them.
And they appeared. I didn't write this down. Every time that it came before Code Board, did someone appear? I can't remember.
No, I believe at the Code Board that you issued fines, no one attended that meeting.
The second time.
Well, wait a minute.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Mr. Bretzel.
We didn't know that we needed to be here. There was no notification on the second meeting that we got. We came to the very first one and let you know that we had started to do the work, and we were communicating the whole time. And it was a shock to us that there was a meeting. We weren't aware of it.
Is this property currently rented out?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's in great shape.
It looks beautiful. I thought I read in all of this that you had applied for grant money from the city. Did you apply for grant money?
We talked to Reed over there, and there was no more available. It's all been used up.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets used up quickly.
Yeah.
There's not that much of it. Doesn't matter.
Well, again, I have an opinion that this was an effort whether it took a long time or not, it had an ongoing track record of an attempt for compliance, and I feel that we should reduce the amount. I know it wasn't to your liking that they didn't do it correctly to start with, but they rectified that, and for that, I think that shows at least they were trying. That's my opinion. Anybody else?
All right, the lien as it stands, the lien is $20,000.24.
20,274.
274. It's right here.
Oh, well, on the lien review request, I'm looking at
I
that.
got $20,024.
Oh, and plus the $250 for the no business license?
20,000 for the lien, $250 for no business tax, and $24 for recording.
Do you have the business license now?
They don't, only because they were waiting. Everybody had to wait for this to happen. We have a state license to rent the property. It's 5 units and above, but there's no BT license. But Danny has been in communication with this property and others that the property management company takes care of.
Hey, on here it shows that he purchased on January of 2018.
Yes.
But the original case started in 17.
So that was the old owner. So when he bought it, he was aware that it was a distressed property. The day after he bought it, we came in with the old owner, and the old owner explained that there was a new buyer that owned the property and was about to start fixing it up. And that same day, you can see he started spending money.
I understand that, but was the lien already imposed on the property?
No lien at that point. No, at that point they had said start the work and then come back and we'll talk about it. And then we didn't get any notice to come back. We were communicating and the work was moving forward. And when they started the process of the fines, we weren't notified to come in. I didn't know we were on the docket.
Well, I don't understand how no one was notified to come in if I wasn't here at that time. So
Sure,
that's
I
why I'm trying
Yeah.
to figure out why.
I don't know if the notice was sent to the old owner, because that's what you guys still had on record. But we didn't know about the second meeting. We only came into the first meeting because the old owner said, hey, I've got to go down to code enforcement. I said, great, I'll come with you. I'll explain that we have a brand new owner, and he's about to start spending money fixing it up. And that's what we did. And the second one, maybe they notified him again, but we weren't aware of it, or we would have come in here and let you know that we're moving forward. Like Mr. Jones said, we continue to communicate with him. We continue to move forward on the property.
Were they in fact notified? I'd like an answer to that question.
They were not notified until they were added on January the 17th, 2018.
On that date, do you have a green card?
We have an order of continuance, no green card. It was mailed, but we never received the, yeah, we did.
I have a copy of the signed green card, I'm just not sure what state it's represented.
Let's see, that was January the 17th. An order of continuance was mailed to them. Then on February the 28th, they did not get a copy of the affidavit of noncompliance. And then, February the 8th, they did get a copy of the amended order of noncompliance. They did not get a copy of the affidavit, but it was posted on March the 2nd, 2018 again. And we got the green card for Mr. Bretzel on March.
And that was in March after the fines had started. And by then he was proceeding with the work. He had continued to work and continued to communicate with Mr. Jones. At that point, we couldn't get back on the docket until we were compliant. So there was no coming in later to say, hey, we're moving forward.
I know.
I believe the final. Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I believe the fine was imposed in April, And I believe the notification was given in March
Of 2018?
of 2018.
The fine was
April 12th.
correct.
Fine was imposed starting the 12th of April, correct? So our April meeting, we imposed a fine. Is that meeting date what you're saying is what you didn't get notice of?
Didn't know to come to that meeting, and right after we found out, I came and talked to June downstairs, and that's when she said you can't get back on the docket until you're compliant. So we continued to do the work on the property to get compliant so that we could come in front of you today.
So, Mr. Jackson, you're saying they did get notice of that April meeting date for imposition of a fine?
I don't know. I have a green card apparently signed on behalf of Stonegate Property LLC that was sent to Michael Betzel. Not sure who the person signed it, and quite honestly, I don't have clarity of the date of that green card.
Is the city aware that it's a change of ownership?
The day
We were, in the January
we bought it,
meeting.
we came in to let you know, but I don't think you had any of the updated records. That was the
Yeah, and I think the minutes reflect that in January they came in, and then we continued it to give notice and scheduled it
Yeah, we
for
did that. That part's okay.
and then we scheduled it for the subsequent meeting.
Which was April 4th, that he was supposed to be in compliance by, correct?
The amended order was mailed to them in March.
I have I'm holding in my hand the amended order of noncompliance dated March 19th, 2018, and I have an affidavit of service that states on March 2nd, 2018, that there was service of copies of notice of hearing posted in conspicuous place in the so it was a posting notification, and it was mailed to P.O. Box 550096, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33355.
That's the old owner.
And then also have a green card.
Mike lives in Fallbrook, California, and I live in Long Beach.
And I also have a green card attached to that, and I'd have to look to the board secretary to determine if that reference for the green card is associated directly with this date. But it would be the same green card that I was referencing before. That is to Mike Betzel, Stonegate Properties LLC, and it's signed signature that's I can't identify, and it's not dated.
That actually has.
Does that end in 1558?
And it ends in 1558.
February notice that was sent. And the date is on the...
Okay, and so I'm showing a mailed notice date of 2/21/18, which is representing the February 8th, 2018 amended order of noncompliance. And that shows, in the style of the case, AF 126 South Oleander Residential Trust dated 126/16, as well as Stonegate Properties LLC.
That's the amended order, though, of noncompliance. I'm
sorry.
This is the one for order for the fine. It was sent to both on April 12th.
See, as soon as we became non-compliant, I came and talked to June when we got the first notices, and she said you can't get back on the docket until you're compliant.
My question...
So we couldn't come back in to address any of the other issues.
I think my question is, were they aware that the April meeting we would be imposing a fine? That's my question. Was notice mailed for that?
That a fine was going to start.
No,
Is that what you're
the
saying?
notice of the hearing for the fine.
I don't know. I'm a little confused on the dates, but the minute we found out that the building was found non-compliant, I spoke to June and to the inspector, and have continued to talk to the inspector over and over again and move forward. But we couldn't come back to let you know that we're moving forward with everything. It would have been nice if they'd have suspended the fines at some point to see that, hey, this guy's working. I understand, but there was obviously some miscommunication. Stuff was going to Fort Lauderdale. He was working on the property the whole time. And I understand there's, like we said, there's court cost involved. We get that part of it. But you're penalizing somebody for doing the right thing. He did all the things he was supposed to do. Continued to move forward.
Is this the
Continued to
list
communicate with the inspector.
of all the expenses?
So that's showing just what he spent through the property management company, and that's $35,000. He also
Right.
paid a contractor, and most of the material was bought with his credit card at Home Depot. So when they would go pick up material, he would call. He's up to almost $70,000 in the property. So he's doing what's right for Daytona.
Madam Chair, not as an intent to try and counter or invalidate Mr. Bretzel, but just to clarify for the board the record that we have. Ms. Hampton, working both as paralegal and assistant to the board, and to me as well, does have correspondence that she sent to Mr. Bretzel, and I'll ask her to give some clarity on what that correspondence and the dates of that correspondence.
Good morning.
Affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do. Amy Hampton, paralegal with the City Attorney's Office. I have an email that I sent to Mike at mikebretzel.com on February 7th, 2018 at 9:15 a.m. I also copied Inspector Jones on it and June. Oh, you have it right there? Oh, well, great. And it says basically it attaches a copy of the scanned code enforcement board file. So I scanned the entire file that existed up until that point and emailed it to him. I also said if he needed authorization on the new owner's behalf to appear, that he had the authority to speak on their behalf. I think that's pretty much the summary of the email. And then I did get in April 24th, 2018 from Mr. Michael Lowry. Says he's one of the members of Stonegate Properties that owns 126 South Oleander, and that email serves as to authorization for Mike Bretzel to appear before the board. Okay. And that was April 24th, 2018 at 7:04 p.m. And then that's the rest of the correspondence there. I was copied on one from Mr. Jones to Mr. Bretzel for May 10th, 2018.
Well, what I'm hearing is that there was a mix-up in notification as far as...
I think so, too. I can't clarify it in my own mind, and I really would like to be able to say, it would make a difference to me if I could say that these people were notified as to the date of the hearing for an imposition of fine. Mm-hmm. I would like to know that or see that in writing.
And since they weren't here, we imposed a fine.
Right, correct.
I recall the times that you've been here.
Mm-hmm.
And your documentation shows constant progressive work on the property and a sincere effort to comply with the board. And I recommend that we show a little leniency here in view of the efforts that have been made and the lack of communication on our part to make sure that they were notified of the hearing to impose a fine.
My other question is about the business tax license. Why is that not?
It's 5 units.
Oh, it's 5 units. Yeah. We still have to have a business tax license.
The rental license is through the state, not through the city. The BTL license is through here.
The BTL is through the city.
Yes.
And you need that whether you have,
No matter how many units you have.
Correct.
Conducting a business.
Right, it's a business. So you need that for the city. So why hasn't that been paid?
It may be in place. I asked Danny earlier, and he just has a sheet where he says some inspections set up where he's met with the other guy. So I didn't want to say he has it. I said, no, he doesn't. He may have it. I don't have that information in front of me. But Danny is the one that runs around with the property management company, meets with the inspector. The BT license, I don't know. I'd have to ask the property management company.
I thought
It may very well be in place.
I thought that was your wife.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't work there every day. I sell real estate for a living. So I don't work in the property management company.
Correct.
I work for a totally separate company in Port Orange. Our office is in Ormond Beach. Danny works for my wife, and there's a bookkeeper in the office. So they manage a bunch of properties. Now, Danny had sent me, when Danny handed me this, it said there's not a BT license in place, but I don't know if that's correct.
You keep
I can
looking
check when I
over
go
there
downstairs.
and saying Danny. Is Danny
I'm
here?
sorry, Danny's sitting right
Well,
there.
let's ask Danny.
He doesn't know, that's why he handed me the paper.
Oh, he doesn't.
He deals with so many properties he doesn't know, so he handed me a piece of paper that said it has its state license, but doesn't have his BT license.
You're
But he very
going to
well may
have it very soon if you don't have it.
Absolutely, I'll go downstairs now and we'll take care of it with Suzette down there. But I think they may have it. I wouldn't be surprised, but I didn't want to come up here and tell you they have it when Danny's form says they don't. So they.
The city has recommended that there be no reduction in the fine.
You want a response to that?
Yes, please.
Well, I would again agree with Mrs. House. I think they have made a concerted effort to improve this property. There is some question as to the proper paperwork being filed when the fine was issued. So I really think in good conscience we have to reduce this. How much, I'm not saying.
Okay. Anything else?
If I may, yeah, just one thing. Of course, whatever decision is made, it's the board's decision to make. But I just don't want the board to be left feeling that they weren't given the adequate notice.
Okay.
The amended order of noncompliance says in the order that the must bring the property into compliance, have it inspected and approved by the code enforcement inspector, and obtain an affidavit of compliance by February 28th. The meeting will be held on Thursday, March 8th, is what that order says.
No, I think you're right. I think there's no question that they knew that there was a possibility that a fine could happen.
And there is a green card
There's enough.
that we were able to track that says that this was signed for in February. So, yes, they did get the notice. Now, whatever decision you make is understood, but I don't want it left with the thought that notice wasn't given and that they didn't have the proper notification.
We talked about it at the time. We said we had to continue the case because we weren't sure we had the proper parties in front of us.
Right, we continued it from the January to the February meeting.
Right.
The February meeting is when we gave the amended notice of compliance, of noncompliance, and that's with the notice of the possibility of a fine.
I'm seeing the green card for the first time, and it's got my name on it and Mike's address. So Mike would have gotten this and forwarded it to the property management company. And the minute we got it, we went and saw June the very next day. I was in June's office. As soon as we were aware of it, I was in June's office. But that's actually Mike's signature and his address with my name.
I'm not disputing
It's
his
okay.
actions. I'm just saying
It
it was
doesn't
noticed.
matter who signs for it
No, I
from the
understand. I'm
Postal
just letting you know
Service.
that
Right.
Mike would have gotten that in California and not understood. In his assumption, we're moving forward with all our work. And then he forwarded to the property management company. They told me. I came and saw June right away. If we could have gotten back on the docket, we would have been having this conversation every 2 weeks to let you know the progress that was being made or how often you have these once a month. We would have come in and shown every
And
month.
we would have asked for it.
Yeah, you would have asked, what's he doing? And we would have been able to show you that he was moving forward on everything. But once you're not in compliance, you're off the docket. You can't get back on until you comply. So we...
No, that's not
So
true.
when I came
Once you are not in compliance, the next step is that we can impose a fine.
I'm sorry. So
At that point, if we choose to or vote to impose a fine, then you have to come into pay the fine. A lien accrues. Then you can come in after your property is in compliance. You can come before us and ask for a lien review.
Right.
One of the questions that's running around my mind right now is we impose these fines for a reason. We don't do it willy-nilly. We don't do it unless we have to, unless we feel there's no recourse. We work with people. We try very hard to extend the amount of time, especially when people are making a good faith effort. And when we impose a fine, it's because we probably are at our wits' end with alternatives that we can use. I mean, there just aren't alternatives for us because everything else we've tried to do hasn't worked. That's what a fine is for, in my opinion, because we want the property in compliance, and for one reason or another, it hasn't happened. We very often issue continuances. We did in this case, I think more than once.
No, only one time for this owner when he came in to announce that he owned the property.
Well,
Did they say
okay.
they would continue it? After that, the communication was...
Well, this one
Although
says,
Mr. Jones said that he was in constant
Oh, great with that.
communication.
Yeah. That part was perfect. It was being able to come in here and tell you guys that we were moving forward, which when I saw June, I was told we can't get back on the docket. Maybe I'm wrong, June,
That
but
was
I understood.
after
Right,
the-
after the fine started. That's when we, yeah. As soon as Mike found out fines were starting, he told the property management company and we came down and said, well, why do we have fines started? We've been working with Mr. Jones moving forward every week. And at that point, we couldn't get back in to let you know we've been moving forward.
this says on April 4th that an affidavit of noncompliance was issued. He started paying January 2nd.
Yeah, he started
So
working on the building right away. And we
How-
would have come in if we knew to come in and let you know we're moving
there
forward.
had to be notice that you had to show up because otherwise the fine started on the 12th from the noncompliance on the April 4th.
I didn't receive notice to come in when the fines were going to start, or I would have come that day.
But that's
to
not-
let you know. I understand that's not your fault.
No,
at the end of the
it's
day,
actually,
Once you're noticed, you're noticed.
right.
right,
And that's it. And then you
You
don't.
don't have to babysit you.
Yeah.
right.
All right. All right, we can go round and round about this. We've got to make a decision. And
Yes.
And just, Madam Chair, answer to one other inquiry that y'all had is, it was checked and they do have the business tax receipt now.
okay, good.
So, be $250 less. Got a little bit of relief.
All right, I'm going to try just to get a motion through here. The chair will entertain a motion to reduce the lien amount to $10,012.
So moved.
Subject to being paid within 30 days, or the fine will be revert to the original amount. Is there a
Second.
motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Harrington, is second.
Second?
Second, Mrs. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed.
Let's do a roll call vote again, just to make sure.
Okay.
Ms. McLean?
Yeah.
Ms. Roby?
Yes.
Mr. Harrington?
Yes.
Ms. House?
Yes.
Ms. Conde?
Yes.
Good, great.
Okay. Thank
4
you.
votes.
That's good.
So where do we go from here with some sort of an appeal or something? Because for him to get penalized $10,000 for spending money on a property every day, his workers on
You
the property.
need to ask Mr. Jackson what your legal options would be, yeah. We're not telling you what they are. There is an appeal process. But, so this is what this board has decided. Thank you. All right, let's go to our hearing of continued cases. Case number 1, no compliance date was set, so we're going to continue this case until the next meeting? Okay, for a progress report. A progress report for today we want?
A progress report and the determination of a compliance.
That's what we're doing today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, case number 1, CEB 0918-109, Dennis L. and Lucinda Trovinger at 1212 Sunset Circle. The respondent here? State your name and address for the record. Good morning.
Dennis Trovinger, 1212 Sunset Circle, Daytona Beach.
Are you also going to testify?
maybe not, but
Well, go ahead.
Greg Marcotte, 129 Loganberry Court, Daytona Beach, contractor for record for the job.
Okay.
Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, we'll hear from Mr. Jackson.
Let's get this gentleman's name for the record.
All right, do you want to speak, sir?
He raised his right hand.
Do you want to speak? No? You're just listening.
This is my son.
I know.
He has difficulty speaking.
Okay. Well, but does he want to say?
He wants to take part.
He just wants to walk. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're good. Go ahead, Mr. Jackson. Sorry.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of a compliance state and progress report. The inspector is Tom Clegg. Mr. Clegg is out for a period of time right now. However, for this case, the circumstance is really just a follow-up on what they're doing and how much time it's going to take to get everything resolved. So I'd ask if we could hear from the respondent and make some decisions based on,
Okay.
on what they are able to tell us.
Okay. Can you tell us what's going on?
Yes, after a long wait to get a survey that's required, we
Right.
finally got a foundation survey, and basically we got the paperwork filled out, and we're ready to file it. And then they have a meeting in February that
With
will-
the city?
With the city
Okay.
and for the variance.
Yeah,
yes.
variance.
And
They
then
need
we'll
variance.
we'll know more at that point. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. So we're on the. I'm not sure what date was that? The 20-something of
The
February.
cutoff date for them to
Well,
make it as a February meeting is the 23rd.
It's on the agenda for the February.
It's the 21st.
Adjustment meeting?
Yeah, Board of Adjustment meeting is February 21st, I believe.
Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at for there, and that's what we'll pretty much have some clarity at that point, I guess.
Is it my understanding that the people next door are still contesting this?
I don't know of anybody contesting it.
Is there-
Nobody.
I thought originally that this was built on
We've had nobody contested that. That's none of the neighbors and nobody. No.
nobody. No.
I think maybe it was originally a neighbor complaint. Was that how the case started?
I vaguely remember that they
Yeah, I
had,
think that I
had
remember
intruded
that
onto
too.
the property
Yeah.
next door.
Yeah.
None of the next.
No?
Then I'm wrong.
Somebody down the street.
Or it could have been
Yeah.
another contractor because there was one of them that I know that was down the
Okay,
street.
it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another. But no,
Yeah.
none that we're aware of. No.
Okay.
So will we need a progress report in March, or
I think by March we'll pretty much have a good idea where we're at. Yes.
so should we set the compliance date then after we see what happens
Yeah, I guess the question
at
is,
the March meeting?
in that February meeting, if you're authorized, then you'll be able to start
Exactly.
whatever work.
Clarity by then.
Is there enough time for you to get it done by our March meeting or March cutoff?
I think so.
How much time do you believe it will take?
To do what? If they're okay with it, then it'll be.
Yeah, you don't have to change anything,
Yeah, and if
right?
it's not,
I
then
see.
it's
They
just a
may
not be
it'll
okay
be
with it, so you can't
it's either returned down or it'll be
Yeah.
a modification of the existing structure.
Right.
Okay. So, I guess if we set it for a March progress report,
Yeah,
one or
that's
two
what
things
I'm
will happen. They'll either be in compliance and there's
Right.
nothing else to do,
Correct.
or they'll need a little time to make the alterations necessary.
Okay. The chair will anybody have anything else they'd like to add? The chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until March 6th to come into compliance. Well, actually, all we're doing then is ordering a progress report, isn't it?
For March.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
I'm sorry, were you going to say continue the determination of the compliance date?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
Right. Okay. All right. The chair will entertain a motion to continue the progress report until the March meeting, which is March 14th, 2019, and at that time determine a compliance date.
So moved.
Yeah, we received no notification of this meeting. He just happened to stop by, and or we wouldn't have been here today. We would have been out of compliance. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but you're here.
But yeah,
You're
that's,
here. You're fine.
Yeah, we're here.
You're here.
But we almost weren't here.
I know, but you are
By
here.
luck, we're here. Yeah.
We worked it out.
Yeah.
okay. We have a motion from Mrs. Roby. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay.
And
We'll see you back in March, and good luck at your February
Thank
meeting.
you. And could you repeat that date, March, for this next meeting?
Yeah, the next
Right down.
meeting is March 14th.
14th. Okay, so we'll have that. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, case number two. Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to case number 2, CEB 0918-95. Beatrice and Paul Zavitsky. And we do have a letter to the board from Mr. Zavitsky explaining his hardship.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Some confusion. If this is case number 2, they have the address listed as 840 North Halifax. Then we have a letter from Mr. Zavitsky at 1116 Madison Avenue. Does this letter go with this, or am I under miscellaneous business?
No, that's not the same. This one is for...
It's a different
Yes,
property?
yes.
Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know.
This one, this letter for
Is under
CEB
miscellaneous.
091895 goes with this case number 2.
Okay.
All right, is the respondent present?
No.
Okay.
He's not going to be present.
Right, he's not going to be present. He's up in, okay. All right, I didn't know whether there had anybody representing him or not, so, okay. Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, as you have an opportunity to look at the request from this respondent, the inspectors also had the opportunity to speak with the respondent and consider the circumstance that he expressed. But to that point, he acknowledges the things that he said as far as the efforts that were taking place in advance, and the staff is willing to join him in that request that this be amended to the April cutoff for him to come into compliance.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Jones, anything?
I'm sorry, I'm lost here. Are we on case number 2?
Yes, we are.
All this says is a failure to obtain a rental license. Does it mean he hasn't had an inspection?
Correct.
That's all. Oh, that's the reason we're...
No, he has failed his rental inspection, but he now has had back surgery. He's up in the Northeast. The property is vacant. He is not renting it until he gets back and can pass a rental inspection.
Right.
Okay, so that's fine then.
Okay. All right, the chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until the April cutoff date, which is 4/3/2019, to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Yes.
Second.
Ms. Roby, motion, Mr. Harrington, the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 3, CEB 081874, Pelican Crusher at 1169 Indian Lake Road.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Maria Cintroni, 1169 Indian Lake Road, Daytona Beach.
Okay.
Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, we'll hear from Mr. Jackson and Mr. Reckenzone first.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the inspector in this case is Cliff Reckenzone. This is before you for imposition of a fine. Mr. Reckenzone reports that the property remains in non-compliance. It still does not have a business tax receipt, and he would recommend a fine be imposed of $250 per day. He is aware, though, that the respondent may be asking for additional time and much rather see it obtained, if that's possible, than the effects of the fine. So, in any case, the status is that it's not at this point, has not been issued, and we're at the fine stage. So, $250 a day fine is the request.
Well, it's a one-time fine, correct?
Yeah, so $250 one-time fee.
Right.
Administrative fee. Anything further, Mr. Reckensall?
My name is Cliff Reckenzone. I'm the inspector, and my credentials are on file. The property she's done everything that she possibly can to bring the property up to the development, the plan that's in play. She can explain that more to you. It's moving forward. So
What is it that needs to be done? No, I want to ask Mr. Reckenzone. I want to know what needs to be done and what's holding this up, and then I'll let you talk.
I don't have access to the actual project plan, so all I know is that there's no BT on the property.
So one hasn't been granted. Has it been applied for?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The only thing that's holding us up is the landscape. Rain, holidays, kind of everything else is up. So before submitting for the approval for the city, we have to wait. They said by next week we should have it done. We're asking 3 more weeks, but if not, it's fine. We just wanted to come up and explain what was going on.
Okay. This has appeared on so many of our agendas. And at this point, it's always something, always something, always something.
We have no problem.
At this point, I'm
that's
just
fine.
kind of losing patience at this point, waiting.
We just want to get it done,
things.
obviously,
Yeah,
too, and start doing business.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to impose a one-time $250 administration fee for a business tax receipt.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Harrington. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Ruby. All in favor say aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, case number 4, CEB 11-18-141, Fabian Lorenz. All right, this is the third time then Mr. Lorenz has not shown up. Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for imposition of a fine. Mr. Reckensall reports that the property remains in non-compliance. He's asking for a $200 fine to a maximum of $15,000. I will tend to Mr. Reckensall to explain what is still left undone.
Okay.
I've been working with the property manager since March. They have a new property manager as of March of last year. And they knew about all of the issues that we would begin looking through. When it came up to time for the rental inspection, it failed the rental inspection with multiple things that they could have fixed, which they didn't fix. So that's why we're asking for the fine.
Do you have contact with this person?
With the property manager, yes.
With the property manager, not the owner?
Not the owner. I have not talked to you.
Is the property manager a licensed real estate broker? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, okay. Any questions?
The owner, is he aware of this?
Yes.
And he's letting them handle it?
Yes.
Oh, he might want a new company. Okay.
All right. The chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $200 per day against the respondent effective today, 1/10/2019, and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $15,000. And further motions to impose a $250 one-time administration fee for a business tax receipt. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby. Second?
Come on.
Anybody?
Oh, let's second it.
Mr. Harrington, willing to do a second?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 5 is in compliance. Case number 6, CEB 112-18-161. Jenny, is he here?
I wouldn't even try that one.
I'm not trying it.
Petrus.
Okay, and at any rate, is he here? No. Okay. Didn't show last time either. So, what can you tell us?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, the inspector is Jerome McCoy. Mr. McCoy reports that he hasn't had contact from Mr. Petrusevic either, and so he's asking for a $100 fine to a maximum of $15,000. The property remains in non-compliance. I tend to Mr. McCoy if you have any factual questions.
Is this property rented?
Morning again. Yes, it is rented. It's actually tenant occupied as we speak.
And you've spoken to the owner, and he knows he has to.
I've noticed the owner. The cards came back. He was not responsive to me. I had to go out and when it came to the hearing, I had to post it because he didn't respond to the letter when Ms. Barnes sent it out.
Okay. Any other comments?
So when we do this running fine, where will we, this is for June, I guess, where will we send the notice? To the address that he has not been responding at?
You did get a green card.
He did get a green card, so he signed for it. Okay, so that's all we need then.
Probably came in after you posted it. But he did post the property as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he gets notice of the fine.
And just a comment. This is what happens when we find people, and then because they're not being cooperative, they're not trying their best to fix the problem, they're doing nothing. So we're left with very few alternatives, and then they come back after we find them and say, well, I fixed it. And so then I don't think we can forget about fines. So we better be careful about what we're fining people if we're just going to reduce them.
Right. My thoughts exactly.
Okay. All right. So, Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $100 per day, effective today, 2/14/2019. And the fine will be $100 per day up to $15,000 and continue until compliance is achieved. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Roby, second. Oh, I'm sorry. Month ahead of myself. Thank you very much. So, January 10th, 2019. With that correction, motion, Ms. Roby, second.
Cheryl.
Second, Ms. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay. Case 5 is in compliance. We did that. Case 6. We just did. We're on the next page, and it's 4 properties, correct? Yeah, even though each one is separate, they're all at the same address. They're all condos in a condo unit. Is anyone here for the case? That's interesting. Okay. Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, this case number
7.
Number
7.
7, yep. Number 7, 900 South Peninsula Drive, number 300, is before you for imposition of a fine. As you had mentioned, the next 4 cases are all the same address, and they're condos at this address. However, when we addressed them, or when we considered them initially, we saw understood that they were being managed by one property manager and were being handled as we had we thought. The inspector has since been informed that number 7 and number 8 are not with the same property manager, and they are independent. And so that's just information. So it's
Okay.
even more reason for us to keep them separate and handle
Okay,
them
well,
independently.
So,
Do you feel that she misled us when she
claimed that she was? I'd have to let the inspector speak to that. I don't
No,
know.
I mean, she testified here that she was the
Last
manager.
month, yes.
And I think we need to have some recourse to that kind of thing. I'm hearing too much about property managers who aren't property managers who do. And she testified here that she represented all four of those.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the clarification or what she discussed with Mr. McCoy, but
all these people have been noticed individually. All these owners, Keep It Up, Jackie, Mashwitz, Macca, they've all been noticed.
we would notice them in the manner according to
Cool.
whatever's
Okay.
in the property
Great.
appraiser site. And
Okay, Mr.
So yeah, what we're asking for.
Okay.
This is now at the imposition of a fine. Again, the clarity of what or whether there's been actual communication with the actual owner. I don't believe Mr. McCoy has had that because he was working with the property manager.
Right.
So he came with the initial thought based on his communications with the property manager that on all of these properties that they were scheduling rental license reviews and that we would amend to allow them that opportunity. Now we're kind of a little bit in a quagmire and I'll let Mr.
Well, and all these, if this is September we're talking about.
Yes, that's
Last
correct.
September, it's now January, so. Okay.
Right, so I'll let
This is-
Mr. McCoy. We didn't have a specific number. If we were, I would expect it would be about $150 a day. If you were looking for a fine, I'll let him speak to
All
it.
right, okay, great. Mr. McCoy.
The properties, they had to have a rental inspection on them. So the properties that, excluding the ones that Mr. Jackson spoke of, I was able to get inside and I was able to do inspections. However, those inspections failed. So a rental inspection, a re-inspection will have to be conducted before I can move forward or consider moving forward on fining them.
Okay, maybe we need to take each one separately and see, like in case number 7, what,
Case number 7.
yeah, that's Mashwitz, number 300.
And it was an error because actually it's case number 8101 and case number 10204. Those are the ones that the property manager later emailed me stating that she's no longer or she's not managing.
Okay,
But the 300 property,
yes, let's talk about that one.
it has some extensive violations inside of it. So
Have they been in touch with you?
they have.
Have they repaired anything?
Well, we have to give them the 30 days in order to for the rental license because one of the issues that was inside that property, it was a window, so they were exploring whether they was going to need a permit or not if they were going to be replacing the window
So
altogether.
that's all that's left to do is a window in there?
No.
Oh.
That's one of the issues
Okay.
in that particular.
Madam Chair, perhaps I could help a little bit.
Okay.
If I can ask Mr. McCoy, when was the inspection done on number 300?
Now, all right, so what cases does this woman the manager, not no longer have. 8 and 10?
Yeah, I think he sent unit number 101 and unit number 204, Madam Chair. But
that inspection was, I don't seem to have my notes on that, so.
okay, well, you had indicated you needed to allow them the 30 days, so you must have an approximate date or time at least. Is it this year?
Yes, the latter part of the of this.
Late December. So you have to at least allow them until the end of January before you do the reinspection?
That's correct.
And so they're doing
Have they
repairs.
applied for reinspection yet?
Yeah. They have
They've applied for reinspection.
Mm-hmm. For the units that
that one unit, 300.
We're talking about 300 only. 300 only right now.
Okay, 300 only, yes, they applied for that.
They applied for reinspection.
It is not occupied.
That particular unit is occupied.
It's occupied.
Mm-hmm.
So we have people occupying places
Without a business
without
tax receipt.
without a rental license in September.
Right.
Is there a property manager for that whole complex, that heritage?
For the code, for the magistrate.
She was here last month.
No, that's the woman that said she was
quit.
a property manager for these
all-
4
for
units.
all- yeah.
For all
Turns out
4,
she
but
wasn't.
not for the whole property.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
She's the whole.
From my notes with the that property failed on the 26th of December.
So the property failed December 26th.
Yes. And the reinspect actually is scheduled for February the 8th due to the holidays that we only
Okay.
have.
All right, let's just deal with this
working days.
one case then. That property failed on December 26th. They have asked for a reinspection, which will take place on the 8th. Do we want to grant them that time is the question.
Madam Chair, routinely we do. Once they once they follow the process is that they first request an initial inspection. We go out, we do that initial inspection, we determine whether or not they meet the criteria for the rental license. Those areas that fail, we give them notification of those and expect those to be brought into compliance. They allow them a time that they believe is a reasonable time to accomplish that, and then they return on a reinspection. Typically, what occurs after these repeated reinspections where they're just not seeming to address the issues is when we tend to come and ask that we move forward with a
And that's why,
imposition.
and they don't have a BTR either. Is one dependent on the
Right,
other?
in this circumstance, right, the rental license and the BTR are kind of hand in hand. I would think, I don't know.
There are attached.
Yeah, have they applied already?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
well,
applied for a BTR?
Yeah. So if they applied, they paid the tax already. So we kind of.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay.
But the actual issuance won't occur until they get everything resolved.
Comments from the board or questions? We're going to take each case separately, so.
I'm very nervous about this whole thing. There's just something doesn't ring. When you have 4 of these units with names like Keep It Up in an apartment complex.
These are the one that the people were changing their locks to keep people out, and we told them
it
that.
sounds like we're converting an apartment building into a rehab center. I don't know. They're just not comfortable with even looking at these things and simply saying it's a rental license problem.
No, it's an owner problem.
But that's probably varying from what we're assigned. So what is the motion for this property? To give them.
Comments?
Well, I'm with you. You know, and who's ever an owner or a manager of that building, they know well that this is a city ordinance, and those things are required. And to rent them out without those basic pieces of paper that they're required to have is a violation of code. And people living there without inspection by our code enforcement, we don't know if the properties are even livable. So
Correct.
I feel they should be fined maximum and brought into compliance if they don't.
Okay. The city's recommending $100 a day on this?
Not on this case, Madam Chair.
What were you recommending on this case?
On this case, the city is recommending that we amend to the next cutoff.
Oh.
In this case, the city's position, and it always has been the city's position, is that this is a process. Once it's determined that someone is in violation of the code, that they're cited for the violation, that we go out, we give them the notice of that violation, and we tell them to come into compliance. And we initially do that through the administrative process, and then ultimately we bring them before the board if they don't resolve it just administratively with them. And then once we bring them before the board gives them a time to come into compliance. And then if that's not satisfied, then the board obviously is able to fine them. So they're in a position that is proper, and the board is able to fine them. But the position of the city is that the process is that they apply for a rental license, which they've done, that we go out and inspect, which we have.
Right.
That if we determine that there's things that need to be done, that we inform them of those things and give them time to comply, which is what we've done.
Right.
And then we await for those to determine whether or not they've followed through and complied as we've requested before the city itself will seek a request for a fine.
So the reinspection time is after the next cutoff. So you're asking for it to be the cutoff on March.
It would be after the next cutoff.
No.
Yeah, so that would leave us till the March
Well,
cutoff.
do we have... I mean, it says failure to obtain rental license, which is dependent on all the things on the form. We have no idea. Could you tell us what all those things are that they failed? I mean, because it's important. I mean, here we are in January. This started in September. Now we want to give them 6 months. Somebody's living there. It's like, if these are little minor things, or are some of the major things, I don't, that would make a difference to me about whether or not we amend for 2 months or whether we just go ahead and impose a fine. The other thing I'm thinking about is I am kind of in a quandary as to when a manager shows up, that I don't want us to be in the position of absolving the owner and the owner coming here and saying, I don't know anything about it. It's his property. He needs to keep up with his property. You can't just dump that on a manager. If a manager doesn't do their job, it's not going to be the manager that's on the line. It's going to be the owner that's on the line. So, as far as I'm concerned, this woman is out of it, Mrs. Lodenberg, even if she's the manager. We're basically considering the owner here. So I don't know how you all feel about waiting till March.
I respect your wanting to follow due process,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's right. We do that. And on this particular case, since they have applied for business tax receipt and a rental license, all right, we'll extend that courtesy and make every effort to give them that opportunity. If they haven't responded, and it's a whole different story.
And it also depends on what the violations are. I mean, this is very broad. Failure to obtain rental license. It's very broad. Can you tell me what those are? Some of the issues in the building?
Well, for this particular unit, as I spoke on, it had some window issues.
Right.
Had screens for the windows. They needed pest control. They had some active leaks that was in the bathroom. That was water causing moisture. Smoke detectors. AC, the vent covers that was not on the
Okay.
air conditioning vent covers.
They take care of the leaks?
That hasn't happened. I mean, I hasn't been able to do the reinspection yet, which is scheduled down the line. So that's the reason why whenever we do the inspection, we have to give them a chance to correct the issues.
Were these cases brought, were these a complaint by a citizen complaint or a tenant complaint, or how were these complaints
they were
brought
brought
about?
up by a tenant. In
Were
the
they tenant
last month,
complaints?
I thought it was.
I think Inspector Reckenzone is about to come down because he transferred the case to me. He has more information to add.
Aha. All right.
Well, does the smoke detector just need a battery, or
No,
are there no smoke detectors?
They need to be installed.
Well,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying. It's important to know these things. Mr. Reckenzone.
These cases, there's over 30 cases on this property. These cases all started from failure of rental licenses, from not getting the inspections completed from last year.
Yeah.
There are 30 different cases, 30 different apartments.
Every apartment has a case on it, just about.
I don't
Okay.
know.
There's 33 units.
Something is going on there that needs to be
addressed. I think it needs
Is there a way that you could call them and do the reinspection before the February cutoff instead of giving them 2 months? That we could.
Time was already provided to them, and during the inspection that I conducted, we determined how much time it's going to take them to correct these issues. And for me to cut that time, they're not going to come into compliance anyway if I cut that time on them.
All right. Okay. Go ahead, please.
My name's Scott Lee. I'm the district captain. Yeah.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I just want to kind of back Tony up on this a little bit here. We all know and understand that there's a problem with this property, and that's why there's active cases on it. And I assure you that we're working through this. My concern, based on the conversation that I'm hearing, is that if we do anything to mess up the due process of the process that we use standard for most properties, that we may have issues on the back end holding these people accountable. So although I do agree this property needs to be held accountable and we need to take a firm stance on it, I just caution you to make sure you're giving them those opportunities to be able to, and we will also on our end make sure we're not letting things linger. And I just wanted to make sure I stated that.
Have you, with whatever experience you've had with this, are they under any federal guidelines for rehab?
I don't know the answer to that question myself. Yeah, there's a larger case for the entire outside of the building, which is an issue that's for it's before the code magistrate. In fact, they addressed it earlier this week. So we'd have to look in to see if there's any other regulations. The problem with this property is that most of the units are all individually owned, and that starts to change the dynamic of if it's not the same as if it was a condominium where they owned all the properties and they were managing it all as one. It's not the same setup. So that's why we've taken this approach of addressing it one by one to make sure all the owners of those individual units are receiving the notice and they're being informed of the problem, as well as anybody else we know that are identifying the process, like property managers.
Because we don't even know who these owners are, or whether they're local or some large corporation or what.
It doesn't even matter. They haven't even taken the time.
No, I'm just curious about.
How about the safety of the people that live in that building? It's not just one individual unit there. And if this unit or any of the units are a fire hazard.
Yes.
And they have no way of alerting the other people that live there.
The condition of the building and is part of why we're taking such a response to the building overall and looking at all the units. And I think it's fair for you to take that into account when you're making your determination about what you guys need to do. Those are fair things to consider, and they're important things to consider. I just wanted to make sure that I was just restating what Tony already said.
That's a very good point. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we've got to be real careful because we're going into a lot of different areas. The only thing that's in front of us is the business tax receipt and the rental license.
Right.
Not any violations at this point. They may be coming later. They're not in front of us right now.
That's true.
Well, that's
also a good point that I was considering when I was over there.
I was wondering because the cutoff date is February 6th, which is only 2 days different from the 8th, which takes it to another month.
Yes.
If we could just move the inspect up 2 days for the cutoff for February.
Well, but then you've already notified them that their time is February 8th, and I see problems with that.
I think seeing, and I think y'all are saying it, but seeing that there are so many concerns and so many issues with this property, the one thing we do want to make sure is that we got due process right without any issues. And so it's probably, at least my perspective, managers, it would be wiser for us to reach further to ensure that we have the due process issues covered because of how significant and substantial possibly this may ultimately become in terms of remedying this property as a whole. Right now we're looking, as you said, noted, property ownership by ownership, unit by unit, because of the individual ownership. And each circumstance, each person may have a different situation. That's one of the reasons why we pretty much have a standard in terms of the way we review. Generally, they're going to give 30 days unless there's some reason at the time when they do the inspection that would substantially shorten that time period. If indeed that they believe that there is some serious life safety matters, I'm sure that they would address them, and ultimately those things would be addressed by the chief building official. So, for those concerns, we want to believe that our guys are doing their part in looking and making those notifications as we make those observations. But in any sense, as they do the part that is consistent with the code in terms of the requirements for the rental license, allowing them the time to comply will be our best move. And again, ideally, if we could move it back 2 days, I guess that would be great.
Right.
But we start shaking and making gray the issues of due process, and I don't think we want to gray up the due process issues if we can avoid that.
We're really going down a really perilous path because we've told them that it's going to be
Right, I agree.
January 2nd, we were going to.
I agree with that.
We don't have choices about it.
If we decide to do that, my big concern is that when we see failure to obtain rental license, that we know what the violations are or the reasons for it, because they in fact could be life safety issues. As in this case, I believe not having a smoke detector is a life safety issue. And we wouldn't have known that by just looking at failure to obtain rental license, correct?
Well, Madam Chair, the violation is in the code is a violation that's specific to failing to obtain rental license,
Right.
and it's
It's
consistent with the
One
checklist.
of the things that goes on the checklist.
And that's one of the matters that could be, but there's many others that could
Right,
be, and all of them.
exactly.
And all of them have the potential to be of great risk. I mean, we have electrical
Well, I'm thinking about
sockets
then the
and so
leaks
forth.
in this building too. I mean, the
But
ceilings
it's not in
could
front of
fall
us.
in. What do you mean? Yes, it is in front of us because they don't have their rental light. They have failed inspection.
But in any sense, what I would recommend, Madam Chair, is if we would set it for a progress report, recognizing that if as well as the compliance date of the March, since that's kind of where we're left in terms of time, but set it for February progress report, and at least we'll have enough information to know how the maximum actions that can be taken by this board. At least you'll have enough information, enough feedback on how you need to address
All right, but in
their
this weather,
failure
I mean,
if they should
considering
fail.
that it's going to be very cold tonight again, and the heaters are going to be running, I don't know what kind of heat they have in there. I mean, this is something that could happen tonight that would affect that entire building.
But Madam Chair, we have a long list of properties that require rental licenses that have same types of concerns, and it's
Okay.
when we only can go
So
to
you're-
them case by
I know.
case, house by house, circumstance by circumstance.
I know what you're concerned about. I get that.
What Mr. Jackson is saying is we don't need any more lawyers to get involved and screw it up any more than it already is.
But this is up for imposition of a fine.
It is. I mean, it's like, where have they
All
been?
four of
What, you know? What, they've been here before. Right?
All 4 of these cases, yeah.
Yeah. They've all been here before. How many times have they been to us?
This is on this 17.
Could you, just once? We found them in non-compliance and,
Yeah, these are December cases.
okay. Yeah, that's true. December cases. Okay.
The only thing on this, I'm ready to move on this, is,
All right, go ahead.
is somewhere down the line, probably for a workshop, I'd like to discuss when we accept somebody up here giving testimony as a property manager, exactly what is a property manager, what are their qualifications, and they ought to bring some evidence that they've been assigned to be the property man and represent, because I'm getting too many people up here that look like they became a property manager overnight. And I'm tired of it because
It's a catch-22 because
Yeah.
they say we didn't know the property manager did this.
Right.
We were unaware of the owner.
yeah, and I just think it's time to tighten up on that area.
Well, and they have no authority to pay anything.
Well,
so,
we could do a workshop and
the owner
they can
owns
pass
the
an ordinance, maybe, I don't know. I'm not giving legal advice, but I'm just tired of,
All right,
Yeah.
let's get back to this case. What do you want to do with this case? I mean, I understand that you want to protect their rights. And I guess we don't need to have it come back and haunt us
I think
that
we
we
should-
didn't do that. But maybe ordering a progress report for next time. If we order a progress report, then we still can't impose a fine, so that
Right.
doesn't do any good. They're either going to do this or they're not going to do this.
It at least alerts the board to what efforts, if any, that they really are taking.
Okay,
And
I
the
don't know
sincerity
whether
in
that
trying
will
to
help
resolve.
us at this point with this case.
If-
My big concern is,
Well, let me just say this,
Okay.
Madam Chair, as you may recall, as we start with this thought, just because of how we feel about it right now, as you start with the thought of possibly substantial fine, a substantial fine, again, we'll be looking at the criteria for a fine, which would be the egregiousness of the violation, the efforts that they're made to comply, and the history of this property. Or the history of the violator. Those are the criteria that we have in our code as well as in the statute. So having the knowledge of what efforts they're making, although obviously
Yeah,
that
I
can
know.
be testified to by
That's
the
always important.
inspector, I think it'd be useful to hear from someone or at least give them an opportunity. Just as I think it's useful.
so
It's
it is
obviously the
very
board's
often is useful
choice.
to the board to have a progress report when there's a delay in the compliance time.
yeah.
Well, these, like we said, came up in December. And I respect that we want to give everybody an opportunity to comply. But in the event that these properties have been rented out for some time without even the basic safety precautions that you do to ensure your renter, if they blow up tonight and they die, this board's going to look pretty bad. And I feel like we should do what we think is right. And I know due process is important, but I think safety trumps it.
Well, we don't have the answer on the safety. There's no inspection report with the items listed.
Yes, there is.
Well, then
Yeah.
then that should be in front of us.
She just read it.
Just read them.
There's no smoke detectors, air conditioning covers. There's bugs in there.
Right.
It leaks. And there's no screens and broken windows.
Okay, well, as far as safety, you've only got one item there. We could
Well, the leak could be, I don't know how bad the leak is. We don't have pictures of it.
But we haven't done this on all the others, and I think we've just got, on this one, we're stuck. We've given them a February 8th inspection, and we've got to give them to the next cutoff after that, and I think that we need to move on. The next time they come here, then, and they haven't met the inspection, and then we need some advice from Mr. Jackson on what to proceed from there. But in the meantime, I think we need to move on this.
Well, I feel that the next time they came here was today, and they didn't come.
Well,
and today was our day to impose a fine because they did not comply when they were asked to.
Did the city give him that date of February 8th, or did he? How did those dates go?
We agreed upon that date, and that date came from the inspection. And like I said,
that was in December. 26th.
We have right, and we schedule by business days. We don't schedule weekends or holidays. And
let me ask you a question. Did they think they were in compliance on the 26th, or they just called for it?
No, they knew. They had one of their representatives.
They just called for a rental, and they called you and said, made an appointment for a rental inspection, knowing full well that they weren't going to pass? So they're just looking for more time? I don't know.
When we came, when she came, after the hearing, the inspections were set up.
Okay.
And we conducted the inspection, and then
I get it.
We went over the violations in there, and then we arranged the date.
Mr. McCoy, they're going to have a February 8th inspection, so we'll know at our next meeting.
That's correct.
Whether they pass inspection or not.
Yeah. So why don't we amend this to the next meeting?
Continue to the February meeting.
And if they complied, they complied. If they didn't,
then we can take
an action.
There's the solution. Okay. There's the solution. All right. Is this true in every case, or let's just case number 7. The chair will entertain a motion to continue the case until the next meeting date of 2/14/19.
Well, yeah.
That's all we have to do?
Yeah.
At which time we can reconsider imposing a fine.
Right.
Okay. Is there such a motion?
So, second.
Motion, Mrs. Roby, second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, let's go to case number 8.
Number 8 is...
I think, so what is the situation with this case? CEB 12-18-164, Jackie Group, number 101.
That's the same as
They will have February 8th.
except they're not with the property manager anymore.
Right, then that has no bearing.
We want to amend that to the next cutoff.
Okay.
So this is the same thing. They have scheduled a reinspection?
This is one of those. This is number
different.
8 and number 10.
They're different. They have not scheduled re-inspections.
These are the two that the property manager later informed me that she's not managing.
So they haven't even applied for...
That's correct.
They haven't even applied for a rental license inspection.
So we can find them.
That's correct.
We can find them, correct.
Right.
Okay.
And they're all occupied?
All these, so case 8 and 10, they're occupied as well. They're both occupied?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jackson?
This is the question of the board secretary. Just was satisfied that we have the adequate notice. If we do, then I don't have any other issue. We're satisfied that the owner was noticed in these.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Quite honest, everything's coming back to me.
Right.
Everything's...
Coming back unsigned? Is that what that means? Oh, yeah.
But they have been noticed.
But we did the posting and we did all of the things that's authorized by
all right, that's fine. All right, in this case, a $100 a day fine up to 15, is that what? Is that acceptable? $250 a day, up to 15?
100.
You're recommending 100?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How does the board feel about 100?
I feel 250 is real nice.
250.
I think this is a whole different ballgame than individuals who are putting forth effort.
Right.
I think the maximum should be.
Okay, okay. All right. Chair, in case number 8, CEB 12-18-164, the chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $250 per day against the respondent effective today, 1/10/2019, and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $15,000, and further imposes a one-time $250 administrative fee for a business tax receipt. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Mr. Harrington, second, Mrs. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, let's go to case number 9. Where are we with that?
9 is the same as 7 then.
Right.
That's,
Yeah, 9 is the same as 7. They have asked for
yes. and
an
that's-
inspection that will be done. Okay, so we'll just, the chair will entertain a motion to continue this case, CEB 12-18-116, until the February meeting on
February 14th.
Valentine's Day, 2019. 2/14/2019.
So moved.
And at that time, we'll consider imposing a fine. Motion, Mrs. Roby, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. House, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. And is now case 10.
Same as 8.
Same as 8?
Yep.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $250
No contact.
$250 per day against the respondent effective today and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $15,000 and further imposes a one-time $250 administrative fee for a business tax receipt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mrs. Roby and Ms. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay.
11 o'clock.
All right, it's 11 o'clock. We're going to need to take a 5-minute break. At 11:12. Thank you. All right. Ms. Barnes, is there somebody here for old cases that would like to be heard now?
Fitzgerald's not cooperating.
Okay, let's hear that, and then you can tell me when we're done that, okay? Who's next? Case number 13, CEB 09-18-92, Bernard Martin, at 135. Mr. Martin, coming up.
Yes, Bernard Martin, 135 University Boulevard, Daytona.
Okay, we'll hear from a code officer, Mr. Jackson, first. Sorry. I'm in a hurry.
Do you raise your right hand, please?
Yeah.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for imposition of a fine. The inspector is Steve Alderman. Mr. Alderman reports that this property remains in non-compliance. It's the respondent was first notified back in March of 2018, and in light of that, Mr. Alderman is requesting a $100 a day fine to a maximum of $10,000. It is owner occupied. and I will tend to Mr. Alderman to give you any factual information you desire.
Good morning. Or good afternoon.
Not
We're
quite.
almost there.
Not quite.
Not quite, right.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Steve Alderman, Neighborhood Services Inspector for the City of Daytona Beach, and my credentials are on file. And as you know, this case has been here for a while. I did open it up March 7, 18, and as of to date, Mr. Martin has applied for a permit. It has been under review for. They want to have him provide 2 sets of plans signed and sealed by a Florida certified architect or engineer. It was applied for on 11/2 of 18, and that's where we stand at this point.
So he applied for a permit. He needs to give them 2 plans. Has that been done?
2 sets of plans signed by a architect or an engineer.
Okay,
Yes.
and that has not been done yet?
No, it has not.
Okay, okay. All right. Is there anything been done?
Not since last hearing.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Mr. Martin, what would you like to tell us? Are these pictures 1231? Okay. Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, that's what it says up there.
Yeah, that's foundation originally. There used to be a wall there, so that started all. That's why you see it's 2 different colors.
Uh-huh.
And back then, I guess in 1905, you could get by with that,
Okay, so where are the plans?
The plans, I have a general contractor that's supposed to be taking care of that.
Who's your general contractor?
Barkin?
And you know that it's your responsibility.
Well, I'm learning more and more each time I come.
It's your house. It's your responsibility. Okay. So what are we waiting on? What does he tell you he needs to do?
Well, I just got back in town. I've been up north for the holidays, so
I see.
I don't honestly
okay,
know.
Okay. Do you have anything else to tell us?
No, not really. I'm just considering that maybe selling it.
That doesn't have bearing on our decision.
I don't know. I got 2 daughters, and they're saying, Dad, you don't need all that, and it's a really big house, and it's only me. My brother, as Mr. Alderman knows, just died last month.
I'm sorry.
And he lived with me, and all I got is Social Security, and there's a big bill on that big old house.
Yeah. Okay.
Just the fuel alone to heat it for one person.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
So you're saying that financially you can't afford to repair this, and your other option is to sell?
Possibly. And what I mean by that is most of it, yes. But you get 2 or 3 different quotes. Like that. There's a footing there that it has to be added. Well, some masons might say, it's got to be 3 feet, 2 feet, so much. I don't know that much about it. Like I say, I really can't give you an honest answer.
Okay, since March of 2018, nothing's been done, right?
Nothing's been done.
Okay.
No, that's not true. And again, I go back to Mr. Harrington. We had a property manager, and he recommended a gentleman to do the work. And as Mr. Alderman knows, there's been work done. It's just not with a permit. And now, after spending thousands of my dollars, because my brother was handicapped, find him. You can't. And and that's why I have to agree with Mr. Harrington on this property management thing. Anybody could be a property manager. And he's well known. I won't say his name, but he's well known as a property manager.
I thought you owned the building.
I do own the building.
Then why do you have a property manager?
Well, because I was in and out, my brother being handicapped and all, I wanted to make sure everything was paid.
All right. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
I kind of want to move on this. The city has recommended $100 per day up to $10,000. I'm willing to go with that at this point, since it's been so long and nothing's been done. The chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $100 per day against the respondent effective today, 1/10/2019, and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $10,000. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second. Okay, we have no second. I'd like another motion from the board.
Pass the gavel. No, give it a second.
Or, yeah, I didn't make a motion. But,
Want to second that motion?
I'm going to second the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Like sign opposed.
Adopted.
Did you say motion carried?
Motion carried.
Motion carried.
All right, fine. Okay, so we have imposed a fine, sir. All right, what is the next case?
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Case number 19.
Did we do 12?
Okay, case number 19.
She's just doing the ones that are here.
We're doing the people that are here first. Oh, no, I want to just do the old cases right now. So is case number 12 here?
That's all I have.
Okay, good. So let's just finish up the old cases because there aren't very many of them left.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to the new cases and go in order with those, okay? So case number 12, CB 08-18-87, Donald Bernard. No show. Okay.
That's another thing we need to look at.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the inspector in this case is Mike Fitzgerald. This is before you for imposition of a fine. Mr. Fitzgerald reports that as you may recall, this case was waiting for a permit for stairs. Even though it doesn't show stairs here, the stairs need to be completed before they could complete the rest of the job. The permit was issued on 1/4, and so he's asking to amend to the next cutoff. They have been working in good faith up until that point, and so Mr. Fitzgerald asked that we amend to the next cutoff for compliance. Attending Mr. Fitzgerald.
Mr. Fitzgerald. So everything else is done but the stairs and the permit?
The stairs is the last thing to be done. Wasn't written up because we didn't know that there were no stairs inside leading out to the back. After the stairs are done, then the fencing can be finished. So we're on hold for the stairs for the fence to be done. And I did write the fence up.
Have you been in contact with Mr. Bernard?
Yes, I have.
And he's working diligently, in your
Yes.
opinion? And he was notified on 4/10 in April?
Well, he would have been in compliance if it wasn't for the stairs, and then the engineering drawing on the stairs. So that was pretty much the only thing that held him up. And that's what the house looks like right now, or yeah, and
Oh, okay.
so it's a big improvement.
Okay, so we're just working on the stairs, and he has the permit for it.
The permit was approved.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? All right, the chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 2/6/2019 to come into compliance and be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
That was motion, Mr. Harrington. Second, Ms. Roby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay. Case number 15, down at the bottom of that page. CEB 11-18-147, Track 3 LLC. Respondent's not here.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for imposition of a fine. The inspector is Steve Alderman. Mr. Alderman reports that this is permits have been issued and just waiting for the permit to final. So we're asking if you can amend to the next cutoff so that they can be able to close this out.
Okay. Mr. Alderman, can you tell us when the permit was issued?
Hello.
Hi.
This permit was actually applied for and approved, and it actually is basically the contractor's going to be on it next week and be done by the end of the month. That's what they're
Okay.
and I did call Nicole at N&N Construction, and they're just anxious to get on it, but it's part of the schedule.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Alderman? All right. Chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 2/6/2019 to come into compliance or return to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mrs. House. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Roby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay. Now, let's see. Case number 16, CEB 11-18-149, Jerry Albro at 209 Woodland. Mr. Albro, are you here? No, he's not, I guess. Mr. Aldo. Well, okay. Mr. Jackson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for imposition of a fine. The inspector, Steve Alderman. Mr. Alderman reports that necessary permits have just issued, and we're asking that we amend to the next cutoff for them to be brought into compliance.
Okay.
Permit has been issued.
Yes.
Mr. Alderman, have you been in contact with Mr. Albro?
Actually, I was expecting him to show up and expand on the process, but I wanted to mention that the permits and engineering drawings were delivered to the P&L.
Oh, good.
And one of the things that I did not understand or know was the fact that some of those windows that were boarded up, one has been removed. It's a nice jalousie old window, but the other one has a door doesn't exist, and the window doesn't exist, and I didn't know that. So those pieces of plywood have to stay in place. So
Okay.
other than this porch with the engineering that Mr. Zimmerman has put in process,
Okay.
is in compliance. So they made progress.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Alderman? All right. The chair will entertain a motion to amend the previous order of noncompliance and allow respondent until 2/6/2019 to come into compliance or return to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mrs. House. Second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay. Case number 17. CEB 11-18-143, Reginald Copeland at Mercedes Avenue. Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for imposition of a fine. The inspectors, Barbara Collins. Ms. Collins reports that this property remains in non-compliance. There are no permits have been applied for. There's been no real good faith effort to bring this property into compliance. The respondent has previously met with the staff and even with that haven't taken the steps necessary to come into compliance. He has other properties that have since been, that's not on this agenda, that have been addressed and other matters that have been since fined. So the staff is requesting a fine be imposed in this case for $300 per day to a maximum of $15,000.
So this is it, okay.
Attend to Ms. Collins if you have any facts or questions.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, Ms. Collins?
Good morning. Barbara Collins, Code Enforcement. My credentials are on file. We've posted the property both times, had to be posted. He does not, because it goes to an address where he does not live. He hasn't, he's met with staff. We've given him extensions. He's still in non-compliance. He's turned in a fax proposal. I don't know if it's in the pictures. But no one's ever come in to pull a permit or anything else. He's still in non-compliance.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Collins? Okay, the city has recommended $300 per day.
Capped at 15.
Capped at 15. Someone living in it now?
No, not that I know of. There were renters at the time when he was notified, but they're not living there now.
Why such a high?
Right. Good question.
Good morning. Denzel Sykes, Neighborhood Services Manager with the City of Daytona Beach. This property has been an issue for about 3 years with various issues, various tenants, various incidents. And I met
Are
with...
there police issues there as well?
There have been some, but not involving code.
Yeah, okay.
I met with Mr. Copeland numerous occasions, met with the attorney as well as the supervisor here numerous occasions with him. We've given him all opportunities to come into compliance, try to work with him to do something. And the pictures you see are like a third of them are from this week, that nothing has happened. And so that's why we asked for the high number, the $300 a day. Trying to do something to get his attention to move forward.
So he owns the property, doesn't live there?
Correct.
Okay. All right, we know what the city's recommended. Do we have any discussion or that, or shall we go forward with a vote on that? Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to impose a fine of $300 per day against the respondent, effective today, 1/10/19, and continue until compliance is achieved or reaches the maximum of $15,000.
So moved. So moved.
That Ms. Roby's second. Anybody have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, that was... Okay, now case number 19, CEB 0119-16, Stefan Levy.
State your name and address.
My name is...
Now we're on to our, I'm sorry, we're on to our new cases now, right?
Yeah, we have
Right.
Okay, so, all right, well, we'll do this one quickly, and then we'll, because you are here, right?
Yes.
Okay, good, okay. Go ahead. Just, you stay there. Okay, new cases. Case number 19, CEB 011916, Stefan Levy. Is that how you say your name, sir?
My name is Lutz Borschmann. The owner, Stefan Lever, is not here. He lives in Germany.
Okay.
Okay, I'm the property manager for him and at the property. The previous tenant.
Could you raise your hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the the testimony that you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, well, let us hear from the attorney and from our code enforcement officer, and then we'll give you a chance to speak.
Sure.
Okay?
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The inspector is Barbara Collins. Ms. Collins reports she's been in contact with the tenants and informed them of what needs to be done. She believes they can have this done by the next cutoff. And so she's requesting that there be a finding of non-compliance and next cutoff to come into compliance. Now, tend to Ms. Collins if you have any additional factual questions.
Good morning. They're going to actually put white up there and cover it up until they design their
And that will
signage.
be satisfactory to the city?
For right now.
That will meet code?
For right now, yes.
So
They'd
there's
have
a-
blank signage up there until they design their signage. They're new tenants.
So there was when they were first notified, there was a
Other
previous
tenants.
tenant?
These are new tenants.
So now we just have new tenants? Okay.
And it's my understanding they might purchase the building.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of changed in dynamics.
Is
And
it
they
a
wanna
car
cust-
dealership?
It's still a car dealer.
Car dealer. Okay. What would you like? Do you have something you would like to tell us?
Just want to let you know there's a new tenant in there. The previous tenant disappeared overnight.
Right.
So they're no longer there, and the dispute for the old tenant.
Okay.
So there's a new tenant in there that are willing to comply. Get a new sign in there.
Okay. Are they going to need permits and all that?
Probably do, yeah.
They will when they customize the sign. They'll need permits
Yeah.
and everything else.
But until that time, they can just fix the sign
Right.
so that it will comply with city
It
standards.
won't be up there.
Okay.
That's a result of the last hurricane?
No, this was from March.
Probably, well,
Well,
the
still.
hurricane is probably,
What was
might have been
from
1 or 2
last
years.
year?
Excuse me?
The last year hurricane.
Okay. So it was from the hurricane and just. And
They
it
were-
was.
They were also cited for the back concrete that was damaged. They have, that was fixed right away.
Okay, so all we're looking is compliance or non-compliance, and the chair will entertain a motion to find respondent non-compliance and or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So, second.
Motion, Mrs. House, second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, thank you. All right, who's next?
Number case 25, which is
Okay.
678 Madison.
All right, case number 25, CEB 011914, Queenie M. Crawford, at 678 Madison. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, board, staff. My name is Shakisha Berry, and I'm the granddaughter of Queenie Crawford for 678 Madison Avenue.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. And I'm also on the deed as well.
And you're what?
Also on the deed.
Okay. Good. All right, we'll hear from the city attorney, and we'll hear from Mr. Fitzgerald. Then I'll give you a chance to talk.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The inspector's Mike Fitzgerald. Mr. Fitzgerald reports that they're working on it, and he believes that the respondent will have it in compliance by next cutoff. So he's asking for determination of non-compliance and next cutoff to come into compliance. No. Okay. Well, I have some clarification from Mr. Fitzgerald. Mr. Fitzgerald reports that it's currently in compliance, but he would like a finding of non-compliance and determination of a will find finding.
Okay. Non-compliance and dismissal. If
Yes.
we're in non-compliance, now in compliance.
Yes.
Case be dismissed. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're in compliance now. You want to tell us? You're in compliance, so.
You're in compliance. Don't say anything.
Yeah, don't. On no point.
They're in compliance.
Okay. So we're doing. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent previously in non-compliance but currently in compliance, and for any future violation be returned to a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine of up to $5,000 per occurrence and case be dismissed.
Okay.
Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mrs. Roby, second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. Thank you. Okay. That's a will fine. It's probably for the junk vehicles. All right, next case?
Backwards.
Okay.
23.
23. Okay, we're on page 8, case 23. CEB 011904, Prem Bhandari. Please come forward.
I'm Prem Bhandari from Maryland. This is regarding 431 and 433 Warner Place, Daytona Beach, 32114.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Bhandari, we will hear from the city attorney and we will then hear from Mr. McCoy, and then we'll give you a chance to testify, okay?
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The inspector is Jerome McCoy. Mr. McCoy reports that this property needed a rental license. He was that was scheduled for inspection. He went out and inspected the properties. There had some issues that needed to be remedied. They have not rescheduled. They didn't reschedule the reinspection. That's what caused them to bring it before the board. But it can be resolved by next cutoff. So it's asking for a finding of non-compliance, next cutoff to come into compliance. And I tend to Mr. McCoy if you have any factual questions.
Mr. Jackson, when was the property first inspected? The rental inspection, do we know?
No, Mr. McCoy would have to check.
Okay.
Jerome McCoy, Code Inspector for the city. My credentials on file. They were noticed, first noticed in March 21st. The inspection occurred approximately a month after that. It failed. It had multiple rental violations.
Okay.
And it was also tenant occupied. This came from it was
So
complaint
there are
driven.
people living in this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mr. Bhandari, thank you. Mr. Bhandari, what can you tell me about this?
Mr. McCoy did go for inspection.
Uh-huh.
He found some violations, and violations were so minor, like some screens were torn, and some smoke detectors were missing. There was some underneath the sink, some wetness was there. I present this sheet. I've been repairing the property almost every other day, sending the code, sending the handymen, different repair people, spending money. until I had to evict the tenants who stopped paying rents, and they were colluding with the handyman, and so I evicted. On 27th, he was evicted. On 28th, the screens were put on. And then holidays came, and the rest of the work is going to be finished today.
You can get all of these violations fixed. So is there a tenant in there now? No.
Evicted on the 27th December.
So you can get all of these violations fixed by the 6th of February, you think?
It should be done today.
Well, good.
Yeah. In the meantime, a few days ago, my 433 was vandalized. 3 broken glasses. It just happened a few days ago.
Yeah.
And there's a police report on that.
Okay.
So I'm going to call the police and press charges for that. They wanted me to press charges.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it should be done today.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad you're taking care of the problems, but it's not done yet. So we're going to I'm going to ask that we find you in noncompliance, and you come back, or if you keep in touch with Mr. McCoy.
Yes.
And when you get your reinspection done, hopefully you'll be in compliance this time.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent previously in noncompliance. Oh, that's not doing that. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mrs. House, second.
Second.
Ms. Roby, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, we have another case.
Number 20, we just did 25.
Mm-hmm.
Case number 28.
Okay, case number 28. On the agenda, it's page 10. Mary Ann and Charles Free. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
State your name and address.
Linda Capatos, 1533 Wrightson Drive, McLean, Virginia. I'm Mary Ann Free. We're sisters.
Oh, sisters. Okay.
Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, we'll hear Mr. Jackson and then Mr. Alderman.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The Inspector Steve Alderman. Mr. Alderman reports that the property is in non-compliance, and he requests that next cutoff for it to come into compliance. And I will tend to Mr. Alderman if you have any factual questions. I don't believe there's anything else.
I'm back. This case was opened up 9/13 of 18. I've been in contact with, I believe it was Mary Ann, over the phone. They just came down from New York, and they're dealing with basically protective treatment, and some of the roof tiles are falling off of the edges, and so they both of these issues they have already dealt with as far as lining up the people to take care of them. Who they have, I'll let them explain it, but I believe they should be in compliance by next cutoff.
Okay, so no one is living there?
We come down. We come down.
Well, wait a minute. I'll let you answer that. Okay.
No.
Okay. Right this minute. Okay. So what does protective treatment mean, Mr. Alderman?
Paint.
Okay. Okay.
He's starting tomorrow. He's starting tomorrow.
Good. All right, come forward. Either one of you, it doesn't matter. I'm
Well,
sure.
we're going to have the house painted with this.
Okay, speak
right,
into the
right
mic.
now.
Thank you.
Anyways, everything is, and then we're going to have the roof.
We
fixed
already
up.
had it caulked.
Yeah, we had it
Okay,
all
she already had it caulked.
The stucco man went all over the house. And
Okay.
Fixed patches up all
And
the
Wine and
cracks.
Company are starting tomorrow. They're going to power wash it. They're going to put protective film, and then they're going to paint it. And we'll be up in compliance.
Good,
Hopefully.
terrific. We appreciate that. That's what we want.
Right.
Okay. Any questions? All right.
That was my maiden name, Harrington.
Really?
Really?
Hey, it was mine too. It's nice to see a Harrington.
Every other person in jail is named
Oh, is that right? Shucks, I didn't never know that.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance and or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 a day. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Roby made the motion. Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next case, please. Do we have
Number 30.
case number 30 on the same page, page 10, CEB 01-19-11, Renee and Teresa Blanco. Come forward and be sworn in.
State your name and address.
Nicole Sanchez. I'm the daughter-in-law of Teresa Blanco.
Your name
Teresa Blanco.
and your name.
Mario Sanchez, son.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So you are Teresa?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We're going to hear from our attorney, the city attorney, and then we're going to hear from Mr. Alderman, and we'll give you a chance to tell us what you'd like to tell us. Okay?
¿Qué dice Mari?
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The inspector, Steve Alderman. Mr. Alderman reports that this property remains in non-compliance. It does point out the violation narrative kind of did a little rap, so it came out strange. So where it says pool unsanitary, and then it starts initially with not clean, safe, or unsanitary, all that's related to the pool. And Mr. Alderman expressed that has been taken care of. I know that's one of our chief concerns when we see that. And so we wanted to make sure you knew that. But he's asking for a finding of noncompliance and next cutoff for the property to come into compliance. And I attend to Mr. Alderman for any factual questions.
Yes, Mr. Jackson was correct. I initially found this house as a hazardous pool, unsecured and empty, almost empty pool, that was stagnant. So I posted it immediately. I received response from the property owners, and they were cleaning the pool and secured the pool within a week. Now there's a number of other issues that were happening, bulking walls, walls cracking, door trim, open overhangs. And I went up there last night on the evening check, and I found the owner's son working on the property. And while I was there, we both realized that he needed a permit for working on the wall because the stuff behind it was a little more extensive than they thought. So he went right down to City Hall and applied for the permit. At this point, they have taken care of the property as far as the grass and lawn. They have repaired the window that was broken, and yesterday they were working on the steps, which were all stone, but they were all loose. I mean, they were just a hazard. So they're working on that as well as the walls. And I believe, I'm not sure who the contractor is, but I do know that they have a copy of, I believe, of the application that they pulled yesterday. And they are working diligently on it. Now, the pool also was supposed to be started yesterday, and I'm not sure if it did either. Okay, yeah. And that's an extensive one because that's the most hazardous product or issue of the whole property. And they are working on it.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Well, I'd like to say that we're working to make all the corrections and I think that within the next 30 days, everything hopefully should be completed.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the pool situation, and the contractor, they're really busy. They started working on it yesterday. They were supposed to start it Monday. And I think, I got to get an estimated time to see how long it's going to take them, but I'm hoping it should be done within 30 days.
Okay.
Everything else we're going to have taken care of within the next couple of weeks, all the
Great.
other issues.
Who lives there?
Well, my mom and dad, they reside there.
Okay.
My dad's he's had a heart attack, so, to keep him from having so much stress while the work's being done, they're staying with us.
Okay.
Yeah, for the time being.
Good son.
Yeah.
But we also have the contract on the pool, if you guys would like to see that.
If we don't have to say it, we believe you. You're under oath. That's fine. Okay. Okay, good. It sounds like you're working on it. I was just wondering if you think you can get it done in the next month, that's great, but there's an awful lot of work. Looks to me like there's a lot of work that needs to be done, that's all. So, because you are working on it.
Can I say something?
Sure.
The loose steps, that's been corrected already. We've cemented those down.
Okay.
The wall situation, we're halfway done with that as of right now.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Give them plenty of time.
Yeah.
Maybe give them much.
I'm thinking that we should because you're working on it and you're trying your best to fix it and you're doing what you need to be doing. I'm thinking that we'll give you until March so you don't have to keep coming back here and we don't have to keep making decisions on it, but it needs to be done by that March 6th cutoff date.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That
All right.
sounds good.
The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance and let's see what I want to do. And order the respondent to come into compliance by March 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So I need that motion up here.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Roby, second. Ms. House, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
Is this property deemed uninhabitable for any
Not
reason?
as far as I can't answer that question. It's not on my agenda, but maybe Mr. Alderman can tell you about it.
The reason that I put it initially under the determination of hazardous is because the pool was stagnant and the fence was not secured.
Right.
But they took care of that
Right,
immediately.
so-
So then I changed the title
Okay.
and I'm
Okay.
addressing the rest.
You're fine.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay.
you. Yes.
Okay. Next case. Thank you. Case number 33. That is on page 11. CEB 01-19-08, Evelina Brockington. Is Brockington here? Mm-hmm. Good morning.
Good morning. Evelina Brockington, 626 South Street, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give here today?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Brockington, we're going to listen to what Mr. Jackson has to say, the attorney, and we'll hear what Mr. Stenson has to say, and then I'll give you a chance to testify. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah. You can sit down while he's doing that or stand to the side. It's fine. Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. And the inspectors, John Stinson, Mr. Stinson reports that this property remains in non-compliance As you can see, there's a number of things. This is a continual problem. However, he believes it can be brought into compliance by next cutoff. Part of that may be the possibility of a demolition, but in any sense, he's requesting that next cutoff for compliance. And I would tender Mrs. Stinson if you have any other factual questions.
Okay, Mr. Stinson.
Good morning. John Stinson, Code Inspector with the City. The provocations are on file.
So, is someone living there now?
Not to my knowledge. I don't believe
No, no one. Ms. Brockington, you don't live there. You own it?
Yes, I own it. Well, ma'am, I had a problem with my mother. I lost my dad 13 months ago. Then I took care of my mom. Then my mom died in November. And I called him that it was hard to get him in the holiday season, so I'm mourning about my mother's death, but I will bring it into compliance. I just need some time.
You're going to bring it into compliance?
Yes.
Mr. Stinson, there's an awful lot of work, it looks like, that needs to be done here. And I heard somebody mention demolition. What are we talking about? I'm going to talk to Mr. Stinson, then I'll hear from you.
Yes, this property has been in this condition for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
The case came to my attention because animal control was called out there for numerous dogs, some of them malnutrition, some were deceased. Anyway, animal control and the police department called me out there, and I came out there, and basically the property was in the state that you see it in now. I have been in contact with the property owner. She had spoken about a program with the city to help them. That hasn't come to fruition. So this property has just basically stayed there as an eyesore, and there's been no progress.
So when the dogs were living there but no one else was?
That's correct.
Was this originally your mother's and father's home?
No, that's my home, ma'am. He stated to me that 2 dogs ran in my yard, and then he found a dead dog in the yard. But I'm not aware of other dogs because, like I said, I was taking care of my mom. But I got my disability a couple of years ago, and so I'm on the rebuild list to get my house rebuilt. And he checked that also. So I just need some time.
Mr. Stinson, is this in a CRA? No.
No, ma'am.
No, okay.
What is CRA? Can I?
Community redevelopment area.
Redevelopment area.
I am on the rebuild list.
No, you're not. It just sometimes there are other options, but it's not in that.
Well, this didn't get in that shape overnight. How long were you there?
No, I had been gone for almost like 15 months almost, and that's fine. But Miss, what her name over there, she could tell you, I always had brung, if they had any problem, that I'd always bring it up. I hadn't been there for over a year. So I was taking care of my mom, and I had my mom obituary where she died over the holidays. I didn't have no holidays. I'm still mourning. So I just need some time. And I had stated that to him, that my mama died over the holidays. And so I've been grieving with that.
I'm sorry for your loss. Truly.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
But you are on assistance, right? And you do you have the money to do what they need done?
I could do it.
You can do it?
I could do it. Yeah, I don't have to take care of my mom no more, but I'm just still grieving, but I can do it. I just need some time.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about who's going to do the work.
I'm going to get someone.
But nevertheless, we're here for compliance or non-compliance. We can talk about the other issues when they come up. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, which is 2/6/2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is there such a motion?
Is there? I can get more time than that we say February 6th.
Well, we don't have a motion yet, so we'll have a little discussion. What is it, Mr. Harrington, you'd like to?
It's obvious that they're not going to be in compliance in
30 days.
In less than 30 days. So,
How much time do you think you need?
Just 60 days.
60 days?
Yes.
I mean, the things that are obvious that can be done quickly is the cars can be removed and so forth. But maybe we do a progress report with a 60-day.
I think we would need to, because I don't see now, the first notification came in October. And there's so much that needs to be done, and I don't see. Is this correct? Am I correct in saying that there's nothing that's really been done? We've had reports.
The stuff in the backyard have been taken up, which you've seen that big old pile in the back, and the paint have started. The blue paint have started.
The photographs that are coming back up.
Right.
Those were taken yesterday.
Okay. So when you first noticed, has there been any change?
There has been very little change.
And,
a car has
and the
moved
addition
from,
of the dogs is.
That's the major change. That the dogs
That's
have been
the
removed.
change, and that's not for the better. I'm very concerned about this property and about the ability to get the work done, but that's.
It'll get done. I just lost my mom, and I'm grieving.
Yeah, I know.
It's just that. I
So
just
the
lost
question
my mom,
is,
and so
we find that
Yeah, let's do a
non-compliance.
progress
We want a
report.
progress
Okay.
report. Do we
Okay.
want a compliance date?
Yeah.
Or do we not want a compliance date?
What does anybody think about that?
I think a progress report in 30 days
Right.
and compliance in 60.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Then if there's considerable progress, we can.
We can
amend our-
extend it, yeah.
All right.
You hurt my feelings when you're like,
The chair will entertain a motion to find the respondent in noncompliance and order a progress report at the next meeting, 2/14/2019, and allow respondent until 3/6/2019 to come into compliance and be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. House, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Rubio. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, so you come back here next month and tell us what you've done
okay, thank you much.
and who's doing it. Okay?
Thank you much.
All right, thank you. All right, next case, please. On page 12. Case 34, Mr. Jacobs. CEB 011909. Here comes is this Mr. Jacobs coming up?
State your name and address.
Kenneth Jacobs, 615 Clark Street, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, we'll hear from Mr. Jackson and then from Mr. Stenson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or noncompliance. The inspector is John Stenson. Mr. Stenson reports that the property remains in noncompliance. He asked for next cutoff for the property to be brought into compliance. I attend to Mr. Stenson if you have any factual questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Stenson?
Mr. Stenson, normally people have enough time to take a cruise around the world. This is a fast one. What determines that, how it gets onto the agenda? This is just November, and now
Yes,
it's on
sir.
our January 1st. Normally, I'm expecting to see
Right, I know,
something
just- yeah.
10 months old.
But the compliance time usually dictates how long it takes before they get on the agenda.
I mean,
These violations on this particular property are not that egregious to require a long amount of time.
I think it's great. So,
Yeah. All right, Mr. Jacobs, what would you like to tell us? You working on these things?
I would like to say that I'm not in denial that I need to do some repairs. I had my damage to my roof at the last storm. Financially unable, but however, due to the fact that I'm going to have maturity of a maturity of my annuity.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Come into fruition the third week of February.
I hope
Okay.
they're doing better than mine.
Well, that's why we're maturing and moving on. However, and at that time, I will be surely financially able to do all the repairs. But I do ask you to extend the time of completion. And I was hoping to get you to go out to probably April, if not to be as lenient as you can, and allow me to do the repairs.
Yeah, that April's a long time now. The other thing, but there are some things you can do right now.
Well, yes, I had the notice that I got originally said 2 vehicles.
Okay.
One vehicle was moved, one vehicle was not. It does not belong to me. I have not been able to get keys to move that vehicle.
Okay.
But I'm in the...
Because that won't cost you any money unless you have to tow it, but that's a reasonable...
Well, I may have to, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
So,
but you can at least take care of those things on this list. We only look what's on this list.
Now
the outside storage, you could probably won't take you to April either.
Right.
So what you're looking at is your fence and your roof.
Okay, when we say fence, what are we referring to?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Mr. Stenson what is the issue with the fence.
The fencing on the left side of the property. On the left side of the property needs to be shored back up. You have like two gates. One's a gate, one's not really a gate. Right there.
Okay. So I need to replace that gate?
There you go.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so there's some of these things that could, that look to me that don't need till April. If
Right.
you're going to get a new roof,
Well, the reason I mentioned roof because the last notice that I did receive had
says-
roof written off to the side.
Right, damaged
Now,
roof,
previous
it
all I had
says.
gotten was notification of vehicles, so I was like,
yeah, okay. So we're looking at what the violations are here. And we see some things that probably can be accomplished without waiting till April, that we hope you'll accomplish before then. So,
I don't live there presently.
who lives there?
No one.
Okay, vacant.
And you know you're going to need a permit probably for the roof.
Yes, I'm
Okay,
intending to
all right.
stop by today and apply.
So, I don't want to take each one of these individually, but let's get a progress report and see if some of these get done too. So we would be willing to give you till the March meeting,
We're March what?
March 6th.
Okay.
All right, but you come back next month for a progress report, if this is agreeable to the rest of the board. Tell us what you have done, those little things that I was mentioning that don't cost money, right, or much money. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance and order a progress report at the next meeting on 2/14/2019,
Madam Chair.
and allow. I'm sorry, you're
Yes,
talking to me.
I'm sorry. Yes, Madam Chair. The staff had suggested, Mr. Sykes, that perhaps what we would do is require the items other than the roof and the fence to be completed by next cutoff, and then allow him until April to complete the remaining items.
Okay, we can do that. It just it makes the cases sometimes makes the cases a little more complicated to take care of, but we can do that. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date regarding the violations of outside storage, parking in the yard, junk vehicles, and the fencing.
Fencing on the next,
This is the next cutoff.
Okay, into compliance by the next cutoff date.
The March one.
Okay, he says just a small section of the fencing, so yes, the fencing as well. Thank you.
Okay, the next cutoff date, which is February 6, 2019, and further orders or further finds the respondent in noncompliance with regard to the damaged roof and would like to see that come into compliance by March cutoff date, which is 3/6/2019. Or
Can we rephrase that whole thing and just say?
I'm going to ask Ms. Barnes to
Yeah,
rephrase it for me.
Yeah, we were asking for the April, so everything except the roof
April.
to be completed
Okay.
and the roof to be completed in April.
Well, that sounds much better.
All you have to do is list outside storage, parking, damaged fencing, and junk vehicles to be in compliance by February. Roof to be in
6th.
compliance
Right.
by
April 3rd.
Yeah.
Right. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Harrington made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Ms. Roby, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, so get those little things taken care of, and then call Mr. Stenson too, and stay in touch, and then get your roof fixed later, or start working on your roof. Okay.
Thank you, Board.
Okay.
We have one respondent left.
Oh, poor person.
Which is case number 29.
Case number 29, please come up. Sorry it's taken so long. It's just one of those days. Case number 29 is on page 10.
State your name.
Rashida Hakim, address 36 Palm Drive, Ormond Beach.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, this is CEB 011910. Okay, we'll hear from Mr. Jackson and from Mr. Alderman, and then I'll give you a chance to testify.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or noncompliance. The inspector is Steve Alderman. Mr. Alderman reports that this property remains in noncompliance. He's asking for next call for the property to be brought into compliance. I turn to Mr. Alderman for factual questions.
Now it's good afternoon.
Yeah, it is.
I responded to a CRM complaint of a pod parked out by the road on this particular property. And it's still there. Nothing has been done. My first inspection was 9/24/18, so it's been a while for this pod sitting out in the front yard. I did add gutters because the gutters from the front are hanging off, and so they need to be maintained or repaired, replaced. At this point, I called the pod company, but apparently there's some very late fees on it. There's nothing been done, and Barbara Collins has been mowing also.
Yeah, I was looking at the landscape
So
problem.
this is not occupied?
No, it is vacant.
And is this
Yeah, a lot of
intended
vacant
for
buildings
rental,
around,
do you
don't
know? Or-
It's a property owner.
Yes, please. Come tell us what you'd like.
I've been having some trouble getting the pod company in the last week to take the pod away. I have emptied the pod. Supposedly it was going to be taken today. Now they say it'll be taken tomorrow. So hopefully this will be in compliance. The gutters have been repaired.
Okay.
This is not a rental property. I'm looking to sell the property. I inherited it.
Okay. I don't. Ms. Collins, do you want to tell us about what's going on there with the landscaping, or is that's not really something we're considering here? So
The city has mowed it. The city contractor has mowed it several times. When I send notice, I don't get a response. Sometimes, I guess they have a couple times mowed it, but we have mowed it over the years.
And then do you send a bill to? Okay. City sends a bill. Pretty straightforward. Anybody have any comments? Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent non-compliance when a respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, and be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Okay, so keep on the company is all. Okay.
We're starting over again.
Here we go. Back to. So no one else is here, right? Sir.
Miscellaneous business.
Okay.
Want to go to that?
No. Nope. Now we're going to finish these cases, and then we'll go to our miscellaneous business. We're going to get this done.
Case number 20.
Okay, case number 20 is on page 8 of, and it's CEB 011917, Daniel and Hassan McCune on Mason. Mr. Jackson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The inspector is Barbara Collins. Ms. Collins reports that this property remains in non-compliance. He's asking for next cutoff for them to be brought into compliance.
Okay.
Attendant Ms. Collins.
I got a call yesterday. Actually, the one side of the building, the gentleman that was here that's in Germany, that wall, he's painted that wall actually for him, the used car dealership. But it's the other side, and I spoke with her, and she's going to paint it. She's out of town right now, so next cutoff, it'll be fine.
Call him and ask him
Yeah, I
to
know.
come over and paint it.
All right. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, to be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is there such a motion? Mrs. House made a motion. Second? Second, Ms. Roby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. All right, case 21, CEB 01-19-18, Lily Bell Brown at 726 Edwards. Okay.
Non-compliance next cutoff. Actually, they were pressure washing and it should be painted possibly today or tomorrow.
Okay.
So non-compliance next cutoff.
Okay.
It's amazing it took him a year to.
Yeah.
The lady is elderly, and right now she's in Georgia, and it's her children that are doing it.
Okay, but it's getting done. That's what we want. Chair will entertain motion to find respondent in non-compliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby. Second? Second, Ms. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. All right. Moving right along here. 24. Case number 24, CB 011913, Raul Gonzalez Cruz and Lillian Gonzalez at 120 Palm Drive.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The inspector is Mike Fitzgerald. Ms. Fitzgerald reports that the respondents are working on it, and he believes they can have it in compliance by next cutoff.
Okay.
To Mr. Fitzgerald.
Any questions? Did we see pictures or no?
No pictures on that one.
What happened? Oh, we're having technical difficulties? Okay. All right. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance and or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby. Second? Anyone?
Second.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Case number 26, Land Trust Service, number 416, CEB 011901.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before your determination of compliance or non-compliance. Inspector Steve Alderman. Mr. Alderman reports the property remains in non-compliance, and he asks for next cutoff for the property to be brought into compliance. Attend to Mr. Alderman for any factual questions.
Okay.
Somehow I ended up last today. That's okay. Both of these last two are owned by the same property owner, but they do need to be kept separate. But by
fine.
my timing, I did it opposite.
Okay.
And we're at 416. No.
Yeah, we're doing 416
Okay,
at
thank you.
416, yeah.
416 I found as a addition to the other one. This one, I found it on 9/20/18. It side appearances, sidewalks, driveways. The driveway's pretty. Oh, there's no photos.
Yeah, there are no pictures.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, I'll have to be a little more descriptive. The side appearances on this one are some rotted wood at the entrance. In fact, this is that structure, if you remember, that looks like used to be a commercial building. And it's got lattice on the front with 2x2s up by the door, kind of like a commercial office, like a doctor's office. All of those are rotten. The entire house needs to be pressure washed and painted because especially on the east side, it's black mold. There is some minor electrical where the outside electrical plug-in doesn't have a water or a weather box on it. And all of these things are fairly minor, but they still need to be addressed. The main issue on this, both adjoining properties, is going to be the driveway, which looks like it's been bombed a few times. That one, and it's fairly long. The other house is behind it quite a ways, but the driveway is disintegrated. And I have been in contact with Nancy Braun, and in fact, I called her yesterday from the property to find out if she was going to be here, and she said it's not going to do her any good. So anyway, I'll stop because the other one's the other issue.
Okay. All right, so we're just going to, so this property is occupied?
It's not supposed to be. Neither one of them have licenses current.
Right.
This
What are
one,
they occupied anyway?
well, I went by yesterday, and normally there's nobody there, but yesterday there was a van parked
So
kind
there
of
could be
diagonal.
somebody in there.
There could be somebody.
Okay.
And she is in arrears for $144 on the rental on this one.
This is
So she's behind.
This is not going to involve the redevelopment board in any way.
No. Shouldn't.
Okay.
It's in the area, and you're dealing with outside.
It shouldn't.
Okay. All right. The chair will entertain so someone owns it,
Single parcel.
land trust.
Nancy Braun.
Okay.
Two structure, single parcel.
Okay.
Is she local?
Pardon?
Is Nancy local?
Del Rey.
Uh-huh. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance and respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, 2/6/2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
Second.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second, Mr. Harrington. All in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries. And case number 27, CEB 01-19-02, saying Land Trust Service at 418 North Holyoke.
Correct.
Different structure?
Separate.
Okay.
Yes. On this one, I responded to a complaint of no water on a CRM complaint, and when I initially went there, it was off. Officer Stinson actually referred this to me because he got it somehow and sent me out there.
Okay.
But the side appearances on the structure, this one has a lot of rotted siding on the lower. It has two porches. Both of them need repairs.
Here we go.
Oh,
There's a picture.
good.
Okay, good.
Give you a moment to absorb those disasters.
Ew.
And what was her reason for not showing up today?
She was too busy.
Okay.
Someone living in this as well?
No, this one actually.
Vacant?
This one's vacant, but it went through a fairly volatile eviction process, and in that process, some windows and doors were broken and damaged. So this one, she wanted me to ask for 2 months on this one just because of the extent of the damage, but that would be up to you. Probably not.
Well, I mean, that's not because that picture right there. You stop there.
right.
That has nothing to do with tenants.
No, no.
Oh, nor does the driveway, unless they were
That's
bringing heavy
correct.
equipment up
That's
there
correct.
and bouncing it.
There's socks, there's shoes there, there's pumpkins there, so.
Well, that was a while ago.
that?
That was initial photos.
Okay.
Oh, so they've moved out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
they've been evicted. I apologize for not having current
Yeah,
photos.
that's okay.
It was late last night. There's also never been a rental or a BT on this particular structure.
Okay.
Now, the water issue was part of the contention of the tenant. It was turned off, turned on, turned
Right.
off, turned on
Was
again.
The tenant was responsible for the water?
No.
Oh,
Property owner.
property owner.
Split between both properties.
Right.
sing-
I see.
Yeah. So, non-compliance and cutoff, please.
Yeah. All right, the chair will maybe she'll come. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance or respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Harrington, second, Mrs. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. You know,
31.
oh, yeah. Oh, there's another one. I thought he said it was the last one. No, this is Mr. Stenson's the last one. Okay. CV 011905, Stephen L. and Judy Suter at 426 Clark.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is before you for determination of compliance or non-compliance. The inspector is John Stinson. Mr. Stinson reports that this property remains in non-compliance. This was complaint generated. It can be brought into compliance by next cutoff, so he's requesting non-compliance next cutoff.
And Mr. Stanton, have you had contact with these people?
Yes, I have. I've been in contact with the owner numerous times. He lives out of state, and he is coming down next week, actually, to correct these violations. So he should be done by the next cutoff.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance or respondent come into compliance by the next cutoff date, February 6, 2019, or be returned to the board for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day. Such a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Roby, second, Ms. House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Now, miscellaneous business, MB1. This is CEB 01-18-17 at 116 Madison Avenue, JL&W property of Daytona. We have a letter, I think, that goes with this. Is this correct? This one?
Yes.
What do I do with it? Is this mine? Okay. Does the city wish to comment on this case?
Let me just tell you, let me understand, this case has already been decided by
Yeah.
the board.
Yeah.
So wouldn't we need a motion to reconsider at this point?
I believe
That's what
Yeah.
this.
he's here
Yeah,
asking
right.
for reconsideration. So it's actually.
So we'll just listen to, why don't you get signed in here?
Name and address, please.
Jim Allender, 922 Ponderosa Drive, South Daytona, Florida, 32119.
So are we,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
are we having a discussion whether to reconsider it, or
Correct.
are we going to make a motion to reconsider it and then?
Well, we need
Which-
to have a motion, we need a motion to reconsider and it has to be approved. Then you can hear the case again.
Okay.
Okay. So first we have to decide whether or not we want to reconsider this.
Well, that's why I asked the question.
Right.
Are we going to
Okay.
discuss it before the motion is made, or do we discuss it after we make
Well,
the
we've
motion?
already discussed the case, obviously, which is why we imposed the lien. So that I think at this point we'll just move to, the board chair will accept a motion to How many votes do we need? I'm
Just
sorry.
three, just three.
Just
Rehear,
three, just a
rehear.
regular
Yeah, just to rehear,
to
just three.
rehear the lien request.
Well, I don't think you're making it a lien review.
No.
Well, that's what, we've already passed the lien,
No, the
it's
issue
already
is
a lien.
He's asked you to reconsider it. You have to say yes or no to that.
If you want to reconsider, the motion is to reconsider
Our previous action.
our previous action of placing a lien on this property.
And you don't have to discuss why you make that motion until after you've already made the
I would think so. We have already adjudicated the case, and it was probably made clear during the case why we left the lien, why the lien was there. It's already, the lien was already
I'm
reviewed
happy
once.
to discuss
Yeah,
it, I
okay.
just wondered how the motion should
Right.
be made.
Well, if
No,
you
not
discuss
yet.
it, you need to put it back on the table, so.
If you want to discuss it, we'll have to put it back on the table.
Well, I will make that motion to.
All right, we have a
discuss it.
motion to discuss and reconsider this lien, the lien review. All right?
Right.
Is there a second?
Nobody wants to discuss it?
Now, motion fails for lack of second. We need another motion. The motion that we're not going to reconsider it then.
We don't.
So we don't need a motion.
You made a
for
motion
anything
to
else.
reconsider. See if there is anybody at all that wants to reconsider it. You just need a majority vote. You don't need 4 votes. And then once you agree to reconsider it and it's on the table again, you can discuss it. At that point, you can say yes or no to the lien.
All right, the motion that was on the table was to
Reconsider.
and no one seconded it. So that motion dies. Therefore, what is our next step? It's we don't. It's done. Okay, it's over. We're not reconsidering the case.
Does
That
everybody
is the
understand that?
upshot
Before
of that.
Mr. Perry made a motion to reconsider. If you approve the motion to reconsider, there would be a discussion about the case. He's asked that you do that.
Can I just anything?
What?
I just wanted to apologize. I couldn't be here the last time. So.
Did we have a lien review on this before?
Yeah.
We did?
Last month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's asking for a reconsider.
Correct. Correct.
All right,
Okay.
I understand that now.
Okay. All right. So at this time, sir, we have decided not to reopen the lien review. That we're going to let it stand.
Thank you.
So, thank you. I guess that's it, unless anybody has anything else.
One thing that was.
All right, Mr. Sino.
I don't know. We had talked about we agreed to go with that already. We had talked about possibly maybe considering in the future a workshop. This house brought up the fact of the idea of they had an issue about her not being here for a couple of months through summer, I think you said. I don't know if they could be replaced. I told her by another person. I told her no, it couldn't be done that way. But she would have to. I'm going to get the bike. You can't have somebody temporarily sit in for you at a code
Right.
board. We can't do that.
How many months?
Several, and I was.
1, 2, and 3, or what?
Possibly more.
Oh.
So, rather than resign, and we always seem to be short a
Keep
person
going.
or two, and I know, Vernon expressed an interest in coming back on the board, and I thought maybe it'd be nice to have an alternate that would fill in when we are short.
We don't have an ordinance for that.
We don't have an ordinance. No.
I just wondered how you go about maybe changing this rule so that we don't have somebody die for months and not have a person in their spot. If we have, an extra person, it would allow some of us who actually want to go away for more than a month or two to do that. I know that's not something that's been traditional, but it's
Right.
just an
but
idea.
it would take when you
act of God.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I think I don't know whether the commission would have to decide that, wouldn't they? That's not up to us to decide.
Okay.
It's a commission issue. You could talk to them about it, but how many, here's another way around it. How many unexcused absences do we get?
Well, somebody's getting.
He's holding up 4 fingers. 3. He's holding up 3.
3 a year?
Is it 3 in a row or 3 a year?
I think it's 3 a year. It's in the rules that the
Right, the rules.
yeah, the board rules.
I mean, and we routinely.
We don't really follow those rules.
Correct. We routinely excuse absences, well, because we excuse them.
Right.
So, and that's kind of like that's almost a courtesy. And normally we know why someone, is out there either in the hospital or they're
busy.
They're away on vacation for 1 month or something. It is not month after month after month, although we do have, it can happen that people aren't taking their responsibilities seriously and are gone more often than not.
Well, I don't want to leave our board in the lurch. I think
I
there
don't
are a
wanna
lot of times when there's only 4 of us here and we have a quorum, but it's pretty tiresome not having enough people, and it's like there's always somebody missing, and if I'm going to be missing, I'd like my spot either filled or
I get it. Makes
vacated.
sense, but
Well, the question would be, does the board want it would have to be a city commission decision.
Okay.
Does the board want the city commission to look at that issue?
I think
Yes
it
or
would
no?
benefit us. I don't see how that could harm. Sometimes we're in the hospital and have problems. I think it would make sense to not leave everybody else shorthanded.
But when somebody comes in, as an alternate and comes in,
if they're experienced, I don't say a new person.
There's so many levels or nuances of that I think it would be hard to.
Can't do that with the commission.
I just don't think the commission will do that. They might, but I don't think they will. But
well, we keep
especially just coming in for like a month or something to fill in.
Did you read the rule code, Tony? What does it say?
Yeah, as related to attendance, it says if a member is absent for 2 out of 3 consecutive meetings without cause and without prior approval of the chair, he shall forfeit his appointment.
So that we could go ahead and excuse the person.
Yeah, you can excuse the
More
person.
than 3 meetings then.
Right.
Under that reading, there's no way without cause. What does that mean?
Well, they
You're in
have
the
to have a
hospital.
good excuse, yeah.
Yeah.
They can't just say, I don't want to come this week.
Right.
Right.
Say that, so it's nothing.
Well, if anybody else feels that would be beneficial, not to just me, but to everyone, then
You get new board members that come in here, 2 of you, no experience in that, so
Right.
what?
And I would like it to be somebody who had at least served on our board at one time that would like to pinch hit.
Vern would be great for it.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
Vern
would.
would be.
He would be great.
Yeah, but
And he would like to.
It would need to be commission approval because
it would. We can't decide it.
Can't
So
make that
if someone wants to go to the commission and ask them about that, I
Well,
think it's
who would it be
Wouldn't
appropriate to
even
go?
to the commission.
Pardon
It'd
me?
be up to staff to bring it to the commission.
Okay, so it'd be up to staff to bring it to the commission
Staff to bring it to the commission.
and get it on the agenda.
Another job for you.
It's just 2 alternate members that would sit here if there was a opening. Like today, the 2 alternate members would sit here because there's 2 people not here. That's the way it works.
I mean, all the boards could use it.
Yeah, they all have absenteeism, and
But this is a little different because this is a quasi-judicial board. You just
Right.
can't take somebody and put them.
Or like the planning board. I mean, just I don't know. Well, if you think it's worth a try, then we can ask.
all they can say is no.
All they can say is no. Correct.
But should
And-
2 of us fall ill, then we're really shorthanded, and
Well, then
we
if
don't
the-
even have a quorum. What are we going to do?
So, as what they do with other meetings, you don't have the meeting that month. That's what happens. And I know that's not a good thing, but it doesn't happen that often. I don't
very
think.
frequently.
I can't.
Very, very frequently.
I don't think there's been a time that I've come here and we've not had a quorum in all the years that I've been doing this.
We've had meetings with
But we've come close.
Right.
Yeah, but
so we can't rule out
But-
reviews doesn't count.
We could rule, just we did, if we don't get the full, we just denied.
We can rule on anything.
We're kind of on low head count a lot of times. I mean, it's not just, it's like somebody's missing almost every time.
No, we do have a little flexibility. We found we do have a little flexibility, so if we were to miss more
But I
meetings-
think that whoever comes is capable. I have confidence that whoever comes and sits here and is here is capable of, as long as we have a quorum, we're capable of making a decision. Special magistrate does it all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So
I
you're
think
you're not interested in doing
I'm
it?
not, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't. You know, if most people are, then I would say go ahead.
How about you?
I know I'm not going to be here in July, and if
Yeah.
somebody falls sick and then somebody just don't show up, that's 3 people gone.
But I don't know. That's true. But
And
we
they
have
come-
a full. One of the problems before was that we didn't have a full board.
Yeah.
And so that made it real. That was kind of, we were always missing somebody.
We're always missing somebody now. We always miss somebody. How do you feel, Neil?
As we look to the rules, I do want to point out that in this is January, so we are supposed to address the election.
Elections, that was the next thing I was going to bring up.
I don't know if you
We
want it
can
on
do
the
that
agenda
next
first.
Just put that on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be
Then if you
thinking
can-
of,
maybe we should put it on the next agenda.
president and chairman and
Chairman and
vice
vice
chair.
chairman.
I'm not opposed to the idea. Maybe we need, if we ever have a board workshop, that's one thing we discuss.
Okay.
If we decide to do it, we bring it forward. I'm not opposed to discussing.
I'm not opposed to discuss. Yeah, I'm not opposed to the idea.
Well, I would like to remain on the board,
Well,
but
there-
I'm not going to not do what, is in the best interest of my husband and
Yeah.
family. So,
We
you know,
probably-
Right.
I've been here 4 years, going on 4 years, and I think, in courtesy to everyone, I want you to know that I won't be here for an extended period of time this year, and if that, if that can be rectified and someone good
It can by
to
excusing
replace
you.
me. Well, you don't want to be short all the time.
But I don't see the problem with, as I said, I don't see the problem with being short.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because if we have a quorum, it's fine.
Yeah.
And the special magistrate does it all by himself and
Yeah,
makes
but we can't. We can't do it with less than 4. So, I mean, that's his.
Well,
privilege.
and there
We don't-
probably are some cities that only have 2 people or 3 people on their code enforcement board.
No, the minimum is 5.
Minimum 5.
I don't see
Okay.
anybody with
Minimum
3 people.
5. Okay. Or that only have a magistrate, that only have one person.
Yeah. Without invading this too much, I'm thinking over the years that it's been very rare
That's what-
for us
Very
not
rare. That's what I think, too.
not have a quorum.
Right.
Very rare. And I think
mean,
we've had
some of the other
situations
boards, though.
where there have been members either because of sickness, and I don't know if Amy remembers this, or at least a member, because either sickness or circumstance was unsure how long their absence or the vacancy would be. And if it reached that point where they thought it was something that was unfair to the board, then they send in a resignation and say, okay, fine, I can't
Right.
continue.
Right. We
But
would
if
count
they
on that
really believe
person
they're
to
coming back,
resign if
I
that-
think
especially in
with
illness,
a strong
you know?
desire to come back, I think it's probably not a bad thing to stay on the board if the board can handle it. And I think what Ouija said is the board. She believes the board can handle, working its way through, since they've had a long periods of time where they've had less than a full board.
We have 2 missing today,
We had one board member who was deceased for 2 months before we figured it out.
More than
Before we
2.
even
It was more
knew.
than 2 months.
Well, that won't happen again.
You
I
people have been very good over the years. You've always been here.
Yeah.
We thank you very much for that. 'Cause
Yeah, they're
we
very
haven't had-
diligent.
We haven't had to face that problem. Some cities face that problem all the time.
Yeah.
You guys don't.
Know that insight.
Yep, they put up with me for years, and they just keep on coming. And Charlie.
Well, we can talk about, I think we can talk about it, but we can also excuse you and just be one member down for a few months.
We'll see how it goes.
What's the maximum months?
Oh, I don't know how.
How long can you excuse me for?
I don't know. If you're,
As long as she wants.
oh no, I don't know about that. I think then it's up to the person. Like if somebody was ill, and they knew they were going to be out for 6 months or 8 months or whatever the time was, then maybe it would be kind of the right thing to do to resign because you couldn't fulfill your duties, and then that would give people an opportunity to apply, or if you got better, you could reapply yourself for the next opening.
I don't think there's any bar to that. Any bar to that? There's no bar to that.
Yeah, that would be nice. We don't.
We don't. So
I said there's no bar.
Okay, but
But it'd be nice to have a pool to choose from rather
yeah,
than
that will
wait
be
for months
wonderful.
for a new person.
You're right. That would be wonderful. All right.
Well, just
elections next
put it
month.
in your little
Yeah, we'll think about it.
agenda.
All right. Meeting adjourned.